Good morning, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of Breakfast with Boom. And man, oh man, the excitement for E3 has gripped me as well as the incredible amount of people on today's panel. And you know what? We're going to rip off the Band-Aid. We're going to go right into it. The first guest that I'm going to talk about is the person responsible for opening the door for me in this incredible community and extending the hand of friendship like no one else. But he's also the only man that I personally know that's ever been able to mooch lunch from the Pope. And that, of course, is the mooch. What's up, dude? How you feeling?
Good, buddy. It is fantastic to be on Breakfast with Boom again. It's E3 weekend. This is huge. This show is going to be stellar. And I never like to cross-promote, but hence Boom being on Crossfire. We've got just a killer lineup today. So we're going to start right here. Grab a cup of coffee. We've got the Don here, too, so this is going to be good. Anytime we have a question about development or anything like that, we'll revert to the Don. But, Boom, thanks for having me on. And congratulations to you on your 1 year on YouTube, buddy. This is a huge tip of the cap to you, and I appreciate all the compliments to me, but it's all back on your side, but you put the time, the work in, so you deserve every bit of it.
I definitely appreciate that. I mean, like I said, it's tonight when we do Crossfire. Yes, you are correct. It's my 1 year anniversary being on the show. It is, a lot of people don't understand what certain things mean to certain people. And for me personally, doing this show, being on Crossfire, getting to know everyone in the community, especially the people on this today's amazing panel, it has been a dream come true for me. And I obviously it's like I said, I wake up every morning and I pinch myself that I'm doing this.
Awesome. Okay. But good to have you with us, Boom.
Well, thank you, dude. And my next guest, he runs Invader Gaming. His videos really are good. But I think what is interesting about the next guest is that he's so well spoken and always has something really, really interesting to say that's thought provoking. And that, of course, is the Invader. What's up, dude?
Hey, what's going on, everybody? Boomy, thanks for having me on here. It's always a pleasure. I've been waiting to come on here for a while. I know sometimes schedules don't work out, but I'm excited to be here. It's a fantastic start to the weekend, starting out being on this fantastic podcast, and I'm very humbled to be around all these fantastic gamers. The Welsh Gamer, the Don Mooch, yourself, Mr. BoomStick, Alan. It's such a fantastic panel we got, and I'm just excited to talk games, and I'm just very humbled to be here.
No, I definitely appreciate it, and like I said, people, if you've never seen his work, you should check it out. He does a lot of videos, especially with older titles that some people would have missed in maybe last generation. So check him out for sure. The next guest has become a really close friend of mine, one that I would even consider family. He's definitely one of the bright spots in this community and the showrunner of the Dragon X podcast, The Welsh Gamer. Welcome back. This is your second time on the show, man.
No, mate, thank you. Thank you all. This is a wicked panel. I can't wait to get started, but thanks for having me. I don't think it'd be right if I didn't use this amazing opportunity and this platform to basically point out to your audience that I've been invited onto the Micropod tomorrow at 8 p.m.
Nice.
And the main reason it's so significant is because they've somehow managed to wangle Jeff Card from State of Decay 2 to be on there.
That's a great show.
So I just wanted to let everyone know I wouldn't feel right if I didn't point people in that direction.
Absolutely, this is a good platform, and a lot of people, we like to listen to gaming shows, and the more gaming shows you have to listen to, the better it is for your ears.
Absolutely. And speaking of good gaming talk for your ears, we're in for a good show. So thank you very much for having me. And that's awesome. Thank you.
Well, no problem. And the next guest is actually the only developer that I believe would take the time to be on my show, and someone who really does have his ear to the floor, and his insight into the gaming industry is second to none. That, of course, is the Don.
Well, thanks, Boom. Honestly, it's just a matter of time. We just need more developers to come do the grassroots stuff with everybody and be a little more publicly open about stuff. I think that's only good can come from that, if you know what I mean. So.
Well, I appreciate you being here, brother, and your insight is definitely, people should hear what you have to say. You do have your ear to the floor, and you speak eloquently. So I appreciate you taking the time to be on here.
No problem, man. I'm sorry. In advance, I'm sorry. I'm actually gonna have to bounce about an hour.
That's fine, dude. Yeah, listen, life gets in the way, but I really appreciate you taking the time to come on the show. And last but certainly not least, and I've gotten to know him over the multiple conversations we've had on Crossfire, and that, of course, is the showrunner of the incredible Full Throttle Media, my personal good friend, Alan Walsh. What's up, dude? Thank you so much for taking the time to be on the show.
Thank you so much for having me. It's great to be on Breakfast with Boom. What I have to say is it's been incredible seeing your channel just grow and the content you've been pumping out. Like, 1 year anniversary now of Crossfire tonight. Like, that's awesome, dude. So seriously, huge congratulations. A privilege to be on the show the Friday before E3. It's going to be incredible.
Yeah, I mean, listen, dude, having everyone on here, having you on here is doing a video game show 2 days before E3 logistically kicks off with. I mean, I know EA has their event on Saturday, and I'm excited to see what they're doing. But for me, my excitement is going to see what Microsoft is going to do. So actually doing an E3 pre-E3 show is it's mind blowing to me. So like I said, let's get right into the topics, because I want to make sure everyone gets their point across. And I want to talk about the official notification to the gaming world that Crackdown 3, in fact, is going to be delayed. The official word came through Windows Central. I just want to, we know it's coming in February of 2019. So there's a couple of things you can take from this. One, that means that if it is February, that means that the game could not be that bad off if they're saying, okay, it's coming out in February. Secondly, I found it very, like Mooch likes to say, that's so Sony. We hear about this, and then an hour later, we're getting a release date for the zombie game for the PlayStation 4, Days Gone, and that's coming out February 22nd, 2019. So it's one of those things that sometimes you wonder if Microsoft can catch a break. But I'll leave it open to the panel. Does this delay better the game, or are you you wanted it no matter what it looked like?
This is a better thing for the game, and it's better for all of us. And I don't think I would say this about any other title, but in regards to Crackdown 3, and I'm not even a Crackdown super fan, but this game is going to be, and I've been saying it all week, so for those of you who've been following me, this is a report card. This game is a huge what's going on with the Phil Spencer administration. This is going to be the game that people will judge him on, I think, because they showed it 2-3 years ago at E3 in just a glimpse. And then we had the huge bonanza with Terry Crews last year. The hype factor went up. Everything was great. This is supposed to bring a new sense of multiplayer in the cloud, destruction, etc. And then we were kind of just talking about it on Xbox Nation. And the Donald, correct me or agree possibly here. I think that I know we kind of came
no, just keep on going.
Right. It's one or the other. We came to the conclusion that possibly a new, because it's been ultimately a 2-year delay, ultimately from the first delay to now. This is maybe a new engine. Maybe they went in and they're working on the cloud. I think they are going to make this thing one hell of a beast when it comes out. So this is the only time I think since starting podcasting I can tell you that I'm genuinely excited that this was delayed, because if it came out this year, it wouldn't have been maybe awful, but it would have been another 69, 72 Metacritic.
Yes.
And just another blah. Okay. I think with this, giving them the extra time is something that this team really, really needed. And I think maybe this will push the Crackdown name and bring that first party title, to the top of the drink. You know what I mean? It'll bring it to the froth, bring it up, because that's where it needs to be. Right now, it's at the bottom of the cup. So I don't know, Don, what do you think? I mean, do you think that maybe this extra time gave them that ability to maybe use a different engine, make this game look better?
Well, historically, I think the closest thing that comes to mind is Quantum Break. Quantum Break went through some delays, and all of a sudden, out of the blue, we saw this kind of a big change in direction with Quantum Break. I think with bringing on where Terry Crews kind of came on actually a lot later than people realized last year. And I think they were at a point where like, okay, cool, they can launch it. And then they're like, well, let's make it bigger. And I think they got to the point, I think what you're going to see at this E3, you got to the point where it's bigger. The games is going to be what you're going to see at E3. But the difference is they're going to use that extra bit of time to polish the shit out of it, so you don't get like the glitches and all the stuff that people are super sensitively critical about in regards between now and February. So I think that's why they have a hard date. You know, to me, I think the artists are done. They kicked them out of the office. They're not allowed to touch the product anymore. It's just about refining and tuning this thing so it can be as clean as it could possibly be when it releases. And I don't, and I'm a big fan. I don't think Crackdown was in a bad state, but it was the thing that the anti-Microsoft fans wanted to pick on, and all of a sudden became this weird target. And then they decided to show it off irresponsibly. I would say at what was that show with the comics and all that?
Oh, Comic-Con.
Yeah,
right?
so,
that was
yeah,
terrible.
So they just
Yes.
managed.
Oh god.
They managed to roll out really awful.
Yeah,
They did.
that Comic-Con stream was really bad. I remember they had a demo on it as well for Forza 7, and they had celebrities who were, drunk playing it, and they were crashing into everything, and it just didn't make the game look good at all.
Yeah, and then a little bit on Microsoft too, on the the section, like when you have a demo, you need to have that demo polished. You're doing a live stream, you can't be, people are going to judge you on the littlest thing, so you can't have a demo that's glitchy, right? You just can't do that.
Absolutely.
So I mean, responsibility does fall on Microsoft on that. I don't think it's a new engine or anything like that. It's just getting the most out of it is what they're doing. Mm-hmm. And they may take a slightly different art direction, different shaders, things like that. Still cell shading, still the core assets of what Crackdown is, but they can add different, what they call normal maps and stuff like that. So just kind of filling in the space and making the game as dense as possible is the impression I keep getting. So,
Don, you said something. You said, it's not all that bad. The problem was, I don't think Crackdown 3 was ever going to be bad. I think it was stuck in a state of mediocrity. And now this is a chance where we can actually kind of get it out of there and excel this thing. I understand what you're saying. I think going with a new engine was drastic. That's going completely on the other side. But they definitely went in there and did more than just polish the game or add a mode. You know what I'm saying? Like,
no, I don't. Right? I don't think it's a tacked on thing, right? Like it's more of, okay, cool. They met their deadline. So like, here's the thing I keep hearing behind the scenes. I don't hear the company missing deadlines. So this is not like a scale-bound thing where a company
just basically bleeding money.
Yeah, it's not a company constantly not meeting deadlines of what they're wanting the product to be, and then the publisher going, "What the hell are you guys doing with our money?" Right? It's not one of those situations. And unlike Scalebound was never playable at E3. This has been playable multiple times. So the difference here is, I think they're like, okay, we can release it in the state, but we could do more. And that's really what it comes right down to. It. They can do more for it.
Well, think about it, though. What good would it be releasing it? It would have to come out in August, because from September till November, it would get like just curb stomped. So there's no sense in releasing it this fall anyways. I mean, if I'm sitting there and I'm at the Crackdown, I'm one of the head developers, and I go there and I say, Phil, listen, here's the thing. Realistically, you're not going to want this. It's a blemish to push it back. But if you give me these next 6 months, 7 months, what that'll give you is a much better product. And we don't really want to go up again. If Call of Duty doesn't want to go against Red Dead, we certainly don't want to go against Red Dead.
Yeah, I agree.
Exactly.
Well, it's also one of those things you kind of eat your own, because Microsoft does make money off third party, right? So like, you don't want to hurt yourself in that situation, not only from your partner's perspective, but your own product that you put your time in. I think the other thing that really comes right down to is, they could have released it in whatever state it was, but let's say they could have used that time just to polish. It's not like they're adding things, right? They're not like adding a new battle royale mode or something like that in that period of time. Because really what happens in game development, usually about 3 to 6 months prior to launch, and certain artists basically they get their hands slapped and they're told to go home or work on the next project, because anything they add additional to the game at that point sometimes just breaks the game, and you have to constantly fix all those bugs. Yeah. So I think what we're going to get at E3 is the final look of the game, and everything is just polish, make that thing airtight as possible. So when it does release, it doesn't become this internet culture of memes.
So you'll agree then, Don, that they have to show something Crackdown 3 during E3.
Well, they confirmed that they are,
okay, they did confirm it, but
they did confirm that.
Okay,
they confirmed that it's going to be up on their stage.
Okay,
here's the thing, it has to be up on their stage, and I'm excited. Listen, if you remember a couple of Crossfires ago, Mooch, we were all pretty much in the belief that this wasn't going to show up at E3.
Right.
And that would have been actually a really terrible sign. The fact that it's actually going to be there is incredible. But I want to just read exactly their part of their statement regarding the delay. It says, our fans' response to the signature antics and explosive gameplay of Crackdown 3 has been incredible. To ensure that we deliver the experience of Crackdown 3, we will be launching in February of 2019. We look forward to sharing more Crackdown 3 this Sunday during the Xbox 3 2018 briefing. And that, listen, I'm saying it now, and I know maybe I'm a nerd. I got goosebumps, and I'm going to tell you why. I love Crackdown. It's one of my favorite franchises, not because I was a police officer in my past life. No, it's because I like the idea of jumping around and collecting stupid blue orbs, and the idea that I can team up with 5 guys from this panel and go against another 5 people and just basically be like Incredible Hulks and destroy the world that you're in is just... It's an idea. Listen, it's like a giant play sandbox giving you the ability to destroy everything, and then you reset everything and you do it again. That to me sounds like fun. So them having it up on their stage, I think, is going to be huge.
See, you know what excites me about Crackdown, and this is the reason why I was been positive about the project since the beginning, regardless of, this is actually the project that disappointed me last year. Like, you asked me what my disappointment was last year, it was Crackdown being delayed. You asked me what my disappointment this year, well, Crackdown being delayed, right? But because everything else kind of landed where I expected or a little bit better. But with Crackdown, we just had the Xbox One enhanced version of it kind of hit, and I just tried it out. I just wanted to see what the enhancements and how that game played out, and I was just going to run around the city, see what it looks like, and quickly turn it off. I didn't turn that game off for another 5 hours.
Wow.
Like, the gameplay is still the core game mechanics of Crackdown 1. It's got that addictive property that's hard to put the game down. So when I was talking to people that did get a chance to play it last year, I was asking him key questions. Is it Crackdown? Is it like Crackdown 1 or is it like Crackdown 2? And everyone keeps saying Crackdown 1, but then they would follow up the sentences just like, oh, it's just not latest and greatest. I'm like, is it like Crackdown 1? Right. And if they build upon what that was, those core hooks, right, then they got something. If it plays like Crackdown 2, I'm sorry, my hype level is gone.
Correct. So, yes.
So I'm the type of guy, yes, the multiplayer is huge. I want the campaign to be just as good. And I think when people get in this weird thing is like, this game's got multiplayer, this game's got single player. If you can have both, why not both? And that's what Microsoft does well. So to me, that's a Microsoft game. It's a game that has a great single player. And then when I'm done with that, I'm playing a multiplayer that's unique to that game. And that's what I'm excited about Crackdown. I hope they deliver. We'll see in 2 days, right? If what they're up to.
Okay. Well, listen. Yeah, go ahead. Speak about it, brother.
No, I was just going to mention, I saw the behind closed doors demo of Crackdown 3 at E3 last year, and I was really impressed.
I was actually going to ask you that. When you walked away from it, how did you feel?
I was really excited. I thought it was really, really good. I think one of the issues with Crackdown 3 when they revealed it at E3 was that the playable demo on the show floor didn't sell the game the way the behind closed doors demo did. If they were to take that behind closed doors demo, let's say, and had live streamed it or something like that, it could have done them a lot of favors. It was a really good demo. I wrote up a really good preview of it as well. I remember Phil tweeted it out, and a lot of people were quite excited by the stuff I was writing in that preview. Like, there were things that people were writing to me saying, I didn't even know that was in the game. Like, I remember, like, I wrote that Dolby Atmos was in the game. People were like, I didn't know that no one had wrote about that before. So, you know, I really liked the demo. It was explosive. It just looks so much fun with friends. Like, there's a lot of things about it that I'm really, really excited for in Crackdown 3. And I think when they debut it this year at their conference, I think it's going to make a much bigger and much more impactful showing than it did last year. At least that's what I'm hoping.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Alan. Is it the not multiplayer, but the campaign 4-player co-op, or is it 2-player co-op?
I believe they said it's 4-player co-op. Now they don't have.
That's going to be great.
I'd have to double check.
No, I'm actually pretty sure that you are correct, because on numerous videos they show 4 agents running together.
Yeah,
I think
what I
it's
keep remembering too.
You don't get. Obviously, the destruction physics are exclusive to the online mode with the cloud processing. That's its own thing altogether. But
Correct.
I do believe the campaign is 4-player co-op.
Interesting.
Well, that's it. Listen, what I'm imagining is they're going to show people up on stage, and I think that at this point, what people really want to see, including myself, of course, is we want to see the destruction. We want to see the cloud-based physics in action.
Oh yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
and
this is, to me, the Microsoft. They can't just show one thing. They have to show it all. They have to cover their bases. Like, seriously, like, you have cover your single player, cover your multiplayer. If they have a new mode, whatever, show that. Show if there's a little bit, the way the campaign works, as far as a story wise in the multiplayer, then use that as well. Like, show us all of it, because people are going to tear you apart. So cover your bases, come at an approach that people are out to get you, and you have something to prove. And go.
I completely agree. No, I completely agree, Don. Completely agree. Like, frankly, like, I think we can all agree. I think we've all summed up here that they announced the game far too early, but it's done. It is what it is. In its time, it's been delayed like 2 or 3 times now. Is this the 2nd or 3rd delay now?
I think this might be the 3rd.
Yeah, and and it's never a nice thing as a fan of either Xbox, or if you're a Crackdown fan, whatever. Like, everyone wants new toys, and if the toy ain't coming, then it's a bit disappointing. But I personally don't see any problem with any delay, and that goes for any game on any platform. I think a delay can only be a good thing, and I agree with Mooch completely. I would have clapped for you, Mooch, but I didn't want to interrupt your flow. But literally, like, even if Crackdown 3 was in its absolute prime, polished state, if I was the developer or publisher or whatever, if I had the authority to make said decision, I wouldn't want it to come out this year. It'd be swallowed whole. There's too much coming this year. I think we need, for a game like Crackdown that's been kind of buried under a rock for some time now, and it has a lot to prove, because Crackdown 2 wasn't all that great. It needs to really blow our socks off, and I think a nice window of opportunity is early next year. Get it out, let everyone run free with it. But concerning E3 and them showing Crackdown 3, they need to show us something we haven't already seen. I don't want to be seeing a 2-minute trailer of Terry Crews going, "Hey, fool, I'm going to get you." I need to see like a good 10-minute sequence minimum of the destruction, but I want it to be like live action, like proper actual gameplay, not like a snippet from footage we've seen 2 years ago, or a montage with some like CGI. I want to see something we haven't seen. We need reassurance in this game.
You're saying you don't want a beta?
I'd love a beta. If they announced a beta shortly after the state, like, you know, whatever they show, and they'd be like, right, the beta is available this time next week. Have fun. Like, if they do that, that'd be wicked.
You know what? I'm going to throw out a prediction right here, and I've said this before. I think they will drop a beta right after the conference.
I agree. You know what? You got to think about this for a second, Alan. You're so smart. You're thinking the way I'm hoping Microsoft starts to think again. Because just imagine this for a second. Yes, every fan of Microsoft, we've been getting kicked while we're down. There's no doubt about it. By the media, by the Sony fans, and by our own fans, and for good reason. We're not gonna take anything away from what Microsoft has done. They have effed up. There's no doubt about it. But again, in marketing, the way you shift, the feelings of fans back to your positive way. Yes, we're getting Crackdown 3 delayed, but oh, by the way, even though Crackdown 3 is delayed till next year, we're still going to give you the chance to play it. Here you go. Here's the beta, and everyone's cheering.
Yeah, I think that's really important to do, because if for whatever reason, if they only have the demo at E3 and the press don't like it again, you're going to get all the negative attention. Whereas if they drop an open beta, players are going to be making their own opinions on it. There's going to be a lot of talk about it online. A lot of people are going to be live streaming it. They're going to be playing it. They're going to be talking about it. And I think that would help them a lot. Like, I often think in the back of my mind, one of the things Microsoft should do is, they have this tool with Xbox Game Pass. And one of the ways they could really get people, they could get a lot of Game Pass subscriptions at E3 if they were to make a selection of their first-party E3 demos available on Game Pass for the week of E3.
Dude, that's so smart, man. You should work for Microsoft.
Saying it probably seems incredibly unrealistic that it would ever happen for a variety of reasons. But I feel like if they were to do it, if they were to get a solid lineup of demos that they were confident in, that they were polished, E3 demos, based on what I've played, tend to be really polished. I think they could drop them on Game Pass just for that week. Then when the week of E3 is over, the license expires for them. I think it could work well for them. I think
Alan, I've been on the same boat for a while, but the problem is a lot of that stuff's still on dev kits, and so it's not.
That's a very good point.
It's not real hardware. I mean, me and Mooch talked about it. It would require like a lot of planning. It wouldn't be like a last minute thing. You would have to plan another 3 or 4 months in advance of what they already do for E3. But I think on the subject of the Crackdown demo, I don't think that's out of the question of realm, because we've been hearing that it's been done. It's been working well, and it's been working on final hardware.
Yes,
not dev kits. So that doesn't really have the same excuse. If you think about it.
Yeah, I mean, listen. At this point, I'm excited. I think everyone on this panel is excited that we're going to see something from Crackdown. I think it's a big deal.
Nobody ever likes to say the executive side of things, but I'll say it. At this point, okay, with the delay, and it's already hit the media. Everyone's talking about it. It's on podcasts. Everybody knows. Everybody knows. Maybe it'll show up on stage. Let them do this glorious showing on stage. That's going to be choreographed. It's going to look good. It's going to get people amped. At this point in time with this game, and I know no one's going to want to hear this, but think about it from a business perspective. I say no demo. I say absolutely no play for anybody on the showroom floor. We don't need the press. Not even the game not working well. They don't like it. They don't like the way it looks. They don't need the press going out saying that anymore. And we also don't need to put a game that's coming out 7 months from now into people's hands in their homes because of multiple reasons. Don already mentioned it's still on what is it there?
Dev kits.
Dev kits. The point of the matter is right now, this game is technically in the emergency room. It's getting fixed. It's getting this. It's getting polished. It's getting whatever. Let it just roast in the oven and let it come out in February. Trust me, there's not much good. There's not much good by letting the media play it this upcoming week or letting fans have at it and then doing podcasts about it for 7 months. That's just hell for the game. Let this game come out and
splash. Alive. IGN especially will curb stomp it until it's bleeding out.
Exactly.
You know what, guys? I think that as much as a lot of people don't want to hear this and we'd rather have the game as soon as possible, that it's kind of overall a good thing. Polish it, make it bigger, make it the game that we all want it to be. And, admittedly, I didn't mind it the way it was but when they showed it, just
Me either. I thought it looked great, but it looked like Crackdown. That's, that's
exactly. I just thought that people were overly critical of it just because of the style of game it was, and overall, obviously, like, how do I put it? Like, obviously, things work, like this for well-known publishers. I don't see why Microsoft is under the microscope more so than others. It just seems like they have that microscope hanging over them more so than a Sony or another big publisher, a Nintendo. And you look at how other exclusives like Recore got reviewed, talking about how subpar the graphics were and missing content. And I can understand why that they would want to go on silence and tidy up the game and make it the best it can be. Also, you look at the release date. If it still stays for February, that's not too bad. It gets it out of the way of, like everybody said, the Call of Duty, the Battlefields, possibly another Assassin's Creed, and other heavy hitters. And what else is there? I wouldn't be surprised if it also got announced with a beta for another heavy hitter game in Microsoft's lineup, and that could possibly be a Halo 6, because we know we're going to get a beta for that.
Yeah, well, you know what? If you were, again, if you were around in the C360 days when Crackdown first came out, it came with the Halo 3 beta. And a lot of people were like, well, that's why it sold. And then people realized that Crackdown 1 was a fantastic game.
In retrospect, Crackdown 1 I enjoyed more than Halo 3.
I enjoyed Halo 3, but a lot of people
doesn't mean Halo 3 is a bad game, but like literally in retrospect, like
yes.
I've gone and played Crackdown 1 more than I have done the Halo 3.
Yeah, a lot of people were surprised about Crackdown.
Yeah. Again, the running joke from the media was that, everyone's buying for the beta, and it turned out to be Crackdown was great. But I want to move on to the next topic, and of course, we're going to stick with Microsoft. Two big Microsoft franchises have been confirmed, pretty much confirmed, to be coming to E3, but they're going to be very different than what we're used to with these two particular franchises. And the first one is going to be an XCOM type Gears of War, and the second one is, what the hell is Halo Infinity? And I'm going to open it up to the panel. Are you excited about these two games showing up and possibly being different than what you're used to?
Well, the Gears of War one, I'm a fan of Gears, so any Gears is a welcome. But XCOM gameplay, I think it'd be interesting. I mean, I wouldn't totally write it off straight away. It could be quite interesting. As long as it's just a spin-off. I mean, like if say hypothetically they announced Gears 6 and it was like XCOM, I'd be a bit gutted. I'd be like, oh no, no thanks. But I think that could be interesting. In terms of Halo Infinity, once I read it, my first thought was maybe like a spaceship sort of fighting game in space. I don't know, almost like Crimson Skies, but in space, and you're like in Spartan shuttles and stuff. Like that kind of come to mind. But that's just my initial thought on the matter.
Well, I mean, again, I'm a big Halo fan. I mean, I'm right next to where I'm actually doing the show. I have an energy sword made of metal that's hanging on the wall behind me. I have my shrine to the Master Chief and everything Halo. So I'm obviously a big fan. And I'm wondering if when they're saying Infinity, are they referring to the ship? Because obviously, the big ship that Warzone is on is their training grounds called the Infinity. And I'm wondering whether this is going to be something to do with the ship. I'm wondering if it's possible that it's going to be a bunch of new modes added. I know, Mooch, you were talking with Crap on Xbox Nation, where you had mentioned that we could possibly see a rebranding of the Master Chief Collection.
I welcome all things Halo Infinity. Anyone on the panel, anyone that knows anything, or the things we discussed prior in the week, whether it be the addition, like we were saying, of ODST and Reach in 4K 60.
Yes.
If it's just a multiplayer that's an addition to whatever they want to do, and then or rebrand the Master Chief Collection because the name has a bit of tarnish on it, that's all fine. So I welcome anything and everything Halo Infinity. I'm completely and utterly the opposite on the Gears of War stuff. I could not in my life ever bring myself to play XCOM. Okay. It could be Mooch, the XCOM edition, and I wouldn't even play with myself starring in it. So, okay, I don't want anything. And I'm a big fan of Mooch. So listen, the whole thing about it is this. I just, that's something where it looks like I'm just trying to fill in, you know, when you take a little bit of a putty and you're trying to fill in the pipe instead of replacing the pipe.
Yes.
If you're going to give me Gears XCOM, that's putting putty on a leak. Okay. Get rid of it. Halo Infinity, on the other hand, looks like you're just giving me something like Boom just said, someone who's the intense collector, someone who's just a diehard fan that can't get enough Halo. They're adding more content. They're polishing it 4K 60. That sounds like goodness all the way around. Gears sounds like a patch job. So what I'm saying is Gears, right? If Gears is going to come out, give me Gears 5 or give me a true spinoff. And I know nobody liked, the third, what was it there? Gears Judgment. Mm-hmm. But you can go ahead and say you didn't like it. That's fine. But it's legitimately a Gears game. Okay, we all had our problems with it. But if you want to do something like that in the meantime, fine. At least it's that. Don't take Gears characters and put them on a chessboard. Okay, that's not what I want.
Well, so I'm going to expand upon that. Here's the thing I don't like about spinoffs. Like, let's say it's a genre of game you don't like, but it's a franchise you love. Then they take the story that's integral to what's going on in the franchise and they apply it to a game that you're not into.
Right. And
so now it makes you a little disconnected because these worlds are connected in some sort of way. Because, like, for example, like Halo Wars, and I'll use Halo War 2, like, there's people that don't like RTSs, right? There's integral parts of that story that are going to be in the next Halo game, the main storyline Halo game. We all know it's going to be. But those people get to miss out on that. They get to miss out on that sort of thing. And that's the problem I have with, like, XCOM and hearing this stuff with who knows what the Infinity stuff is with Halo. And, I'm going to reserve judgment until I know what it really is. But let's say the XCOM thing, which keeps coming up in regards to Gears, ends up panning out what it actually is. I'm like Mooch. I don't like all games. I like to enjoy as many games as possible, but you're not gonna win me over on everything. And if you're not winning me over on XCOMs and you're taking one of my favorite franchises and possibly exploring something of that universe that I really enjoy, I'm missing out. And as a customer, I feel a little, I won't say slated, but I feel like bummed out.
Yep.
And I feel a little less invested in the next mainline franchise game that comes out. So these sort of things I think have to be managed very well and very responsibly. Mm-hmm. And I'm not, maybe it's just me getting older and getting more jaded, but I don't like spinoffs as much from the main story of the game. Create a new franchise with what you're trying to build with that type of game mode and go forward with that is kind of the approach I would prefer.
I like a spin-off when it's done well. Like Halo ODST was amazing. Halo
that was
Reach
fantastic. That was great.
But that's still like a core Halo game, right? It's still it's totally still Halo to a certain degree, right? So if you like first-person shooters, you may not 100% like love that game. You may have been like a B or a C, but you'll still play because you love Halo. Yeah. There's a little bit of difference there because I think those sort of things, exploring like ODST, I don't think that those are bad things to explore. I think it's when you jump the shark to a different genres where I get a little bit worried.
No, mate, totally agree. I mean, like, take this same Gears, spin-off game that, like, is allegedly going to be XCOM-ish. If they just did it like a spin-off, but plays and feels like a Gears game, I mean, I'd be open to try it. That's for sure. But with if it is going to be in fact XCOM chessboard, click go here, click go there, I'm not bothering.
I can understand them wanting to double down on their popular franchises because, you look at the success of Forza Horizon and what that's done for the Forza brand. So I can understand them wanting to expand Gears and Halo and maybe Minecraft, whatever it may be. But it really depends on the genre because some of these, like if you look at, let's say, a Gears XCOM style, like those tactical shooters, strategic kind of games, like those games generally don't sell very well, or up to expectations to what a traditional Gears game would be. So I'm not sure if it would work out very well.
I mean, look, here's the thing. They are in, I want to look at this from 2 point of views, and I'm not sure if the panel is going to agree, but I think that you just might. Here's the problem. The issue that most gamers, and it's funny how the gaming community, I'm not talking about Xbox gamers, I'm talking about the gaming community as a whole, all of a sudden really cares that Crackdown 3 is delayed, really cares that, that they're hurting in the first party department. And I think they're all full of S. If you care about Microsoft and you care about the Xbox platform and its players, then you'll say things that are intelligent, and you'll like when they do something wrong, you'll scoff at it. When they do something right, you will applaud. That's just the way it goes. I'm in a position where I have been an Xbox fan since the beginning. I still own all of my consoles. I still own all of my games on disc. And I currently have almost 750 digital titles on my Xbox One right now. So I'm a huge fan. But really, the point I'm trying to drive home is that, yes, the XCOM type Gears game may not be for you. Xbox Infinity, Halo Infinity may not be for you. I get it. But here's the thing. The platform needs first-party games. And we know that for an absolute fact that we're not getting Halo 6, and we're not getting Gears 5. So though these would not be a good replacement if those games never were released, that would obviously be a big epic fail. But putting games out like this for the time being so they can finish making Gears 5 and Halo 6 great, I think is good for the platform.
The problem, Boom, you got to look at it in this fashion. Okay, sometimes something like this, I see where you're coming from, but sometimes what you do by putting these bookmarks in place is you hurt the brand. And what I mean by that is I'm a huge fan of Borderlands. Okay, Borderlands 1 and 2. If you haven't played it, you haven't picked this game up yet, you've got to enjoy it. The writing in it's fantastic. The guns, the gameplay feels fantastic. When they came out and made Borderlands the prequel or whatever that was something that was an in-betweeny that was supposed to hold over Borderland fans. And myself personally, I can only get about 4 or 5 hours into it, and I'm like, this is garbage. And I just didn't like it. I didn't like the way they went. It felt like they took 2 and they just added that non-gravity essence to it. And they're like, go. Yeah. So what happens when you take Gears XCOM? Okay, now Halo Infinity is different. If this is just a tribute and in addition to the Master Chief Collection, that's why I said I'm welcoming Halo Infinity or whatever it is, because if it exists at all, because that's something that's just going to be a collector's edition for sake. But anything where you take Halo and make it a chess game or checkers or a Connect 4, I don't want it, because all you're doing is you're taking your favorite icon that is the face of the franchise and you're belittling it and you're making it nothing. I don't know if you guys ever had this, but there's a lot of restaurants in New York where there's the big AAA or nowadays, quadruple A restaurant, okay? Right? And then down the road, that big name will have the same name, but then it'll say burgers, so it'll be like, Smith's restaurant is huge, but Smith's Burgers is like the big. So someone's like, we're going to Smith's. And you're like, wow, this guy's taking me out for white glove service dinner. This is great. No, the burger joint. You're like, oh, all right, never mind. And it's an okay burger, but it's not the quadruple A. So the whole thing, right? The whole thing about it is that you sometimes tarnish the brand when you keep diluting and diluting. So I think in essence, Boom, you're right on the Halo stuff. But the Gears stuff, I would say, is not welcoming, even from Gears fans.
You know what I would expand upon? It's timing. All this stuff is timing is the problem, right? You could say I don't like these spinoffs, and you guys already heard my take on it, but other people do. But it's still not the main thing. So if you're expecting this kind of the spinoff that's kind of a roll of the dice to hold on the main core players that want the next Gear or the next Halo, then that's kind of more of an issue. Because these sort of games, these games that are not the AAA, the gamers look at these things as filler. There's nothing wrong with them, but they're not meant to carry the weight of the brand of Xbox. And so that's what Microsoft needs to understand. They're almost better off. I hate to say this because people want to see games and stuff like that, but you're almost better off not releasing it and sandwiching in between AAA releases, so it can be most effective to give your gamers a slow, steady stream of games.
Yeah.
Instead of just like, here's a bunch of A or B level games, because Mooch knows better, but he's still in that same mindset of what's the last 3 games have been from Microsoft, right? Mm-hmm. And so it puts a doubt in his mind that, are they even invested in AAA? No, right. We all know deep down they are, right? Mm-hmm. But that's the thought process, and you don't want that subconscious thought process happening to a gamer. And so you have to plan that stuff kind of better. And games are developed and they're done when they're done, right? So delays happen and all that sort of stuff, but you have to have these plans in place so when things do happen, it's still spaced out correctly and still works for your audience that wants your products. So
I mean, you're 100% right. And if you think about it, if they would have had some, of course, the new term for 2018 is bangers, and they would have sandwiched in Sea of Thieves and State of Decay 2 in between those, I think they would have not only done better on Metacritic, to be honest, but I think they would have been more welcomed by the community itself. I mean, listen, I have, I think, close to 60 hours in State of Decay 2. It is literally my favorite game of 2018. There's no doubt about it. I am having such a great time with that game.
Did you repeat that, Boom? I'm sorry. My headphone seems to be broken. What was your favorite game so far this year?
that would be State of Decay 2.
Oh, okay. The nice. Okay. All right.
Yes.
All right.
Yes. So my 60 plus hours.
Unbelievable. I remember, Boom, you were really worried about it. You didn't want to open your Ultimate Edition. Did you keep it?
No, you know what? No, but you know what? I went with the Game Pass. I did. I returned it. You know what it is? I have to be a little bit more let's say smart with my money, and I can't, unfortunately, even though I've been tagged this by the Mooch, I can't buy everything. So I have to strategically,
exactly.
I've been paying for Game Pass since the beginning. So did it really make any sense for me to spend $50 on this when I basically moved that money over to Detroit Become Human, which is fantastic.
You know what State of Decay 2 reminds me of? It reminds me of installing like a ceiling fan in your home. Let me explain.
Just did that.
So, okay. Allow me to elaborate. So you go there, you start taking everything apart, and you realize, you look at the instructions, you're like, oh, wow, you're like, I'm actually missing that tool, or I need these widgets here, this, that. So you go to Home Depot, you come back. And when you come back, they're like, oh, wait a minute. All of a sudden, you realize the switch. Now, the switch plate's not the same plate you used the last one, and they don't sell almond anymore. So you got to go out and look for the white panel. Go get the white panel. You bring the white panel back. You figure out that you just have the power, and you don't have the dimmer one on there. So you go back to Home Depot again. You keep going back and forth, back and forth. Back and forth. You keep filling up the place. You keep coming back. You go back out, and then one of your people that's an AI, he ditches and loses all your food and half your damn reserves. Then you come back again, and your place is on fire. Then you go upstairs. You get your guy fully ready to go out and fight. You go downstairs. You're getting invaded. You start fighting, and you're exhausted. Your guy's got disease over his head. Your wrench is half broken, and you use 3 of your shotgun shells. You got to go back up, pick another guy. Go. By the time you even get 2 things done in the game, you're literally exhausted. And back to the relation of the ceiling fan, half of it's up, the plate's not on, it doesn't spin, and you're sweating to death on the couch. It's just a mess. It's an absolute mess. It didn't need to be that ridiculous with the fetching. I like the game, but stop the fetching.
You need your own E3 show.
Yes,
Alan, next time you're out there in LA, let I know I'm available for any kind of show. Yes.
Thank you. I could just see him in one of those war rooms, and then he's going off on a tangent, and a ceiling fan just falls on the desk.
I'm the old school Dennis Miller of gaming. All right.
Oh my God. Listen. There's only one Mooch, and I'm glad that I know him. I can tell you that right now. But listen, I don't want to get into too much State of Decay 2 because that pony has been ridden and dead, and it's now a zombie. But I want to move on to one of the bigger things that happened this week. And of course, this is why I'm so glad to have Alan on this particular week. And that, of course, is the heavily rumored, almost pretty much done. Microsoft is buying Playground Games. They're adding it to their studio. If you read Twitter, a lot of people kind of poo-pooed this, like, well, it's not that big of a deal, and it's they should have done it already, and I don't know what everyone's making a big deal. I want to immediately go right to Alan because you had a lot to say in the pre-game, and I want you to repeat everything you said because what you had to say was important.
Yeah, so in terms of Playground, we had the update on the official Companies House website, so UK government-operated website, and we had Keith Dolliver's name on it. And, you might just say, well, maybe Microsoft is just investing on them, maybe they asked this guy to be on their board of directors, and, sure enough, those things are possible, but this is the same sequence of events that happened for Lionhead and Rare.
Yes.
And the reason it all unfolds like that is because I think it's to do with laws. Now, I don't understand the ins and outs of companies' laws, but I think it's related to the fact that Microsoft, as an American company, would be buying Playground Games, a British company located in the UK. I think that's what it's to do with. And I think the reason we don't have an official announcement yet or anything like that is probably because they are just following the UK government laws. And again, this is the sequence of events that happened before. And Keith Dolliver has pretty much joined the board of directors for any company Microsoft has acquired. He'll join the board of directors, and then a few weeks or months later, whatever the case may be, it varies on each different company, Microsoft will go and buy it out. And I think, another thing is he's kind of the guy, like he's an expert in acquisitions. He's an expert in company mergers. So I think with this guy, he essentially just oversees the transition as well, just to make sure it's smooth, to make sure there's no issues, to make sure everyone's happy, that kind of thing. Now, some of Microsoft's acquisitions have been a bit hit and miss in the past, but I think this one would go really well for them. Do I think it's happened? I think so. I'm more leaning towards the fact that it's happened than it hasn't happened. And I think they're literally just in the process of doing it now. The thing I'm most curious to see is, are they going to have something ready to tell us about Playground at E3 or before E3? Like, we know we're getting the Horizon 4 announcement, but is there going to be something else? Is there going to be a Fable tease? Is there going to be any mention of Playground Games now a part of Microsoft Studios? That's what I'm really curious to see.
Well, I mean, listen, it is a big deal. They need development houses to make games for their console. And the reason why I'm excited is because, like I said, I'm the old man on this panel. And I remember when BioWare, who I think was an incredible company, and they still are, even though they, kind of, had a few fumbles in their last releases, used to be, even though they weren't technically exclusive developers for Microsoft, used to make exclusive games for their console in the form of like Jade Empire and Knights of the Old Republic 1 and 2. 3 fantastic open world RPG games that are still fan favorites to this day. Just imagine if they would have purchased BioWare all those years ago. And this could have very well happened. EA came in, offered them a lot of money, bought them out, and now they're making games for everyone. Playground Games was up at the end of their contract. After Forza Horizon 4, that was going to be it. So someone could have come in with a big checkbook and bought them out. And could you imagine if they're not making Forza Horizon 5? Are you kidding?
It'd be a disaster. Like, Playground has pretty much saved Microsoft.
Oh, I agree. Yes.
And the Forza Horizon franchise has been doing so well. Like, the numbers that game is still pulling in today is unbelievable. Last December, they had their highest player count for Forza Horizon 3, more than a year after its release. Like, that's insane. Like, this Forza Horizon 3 game can literally compete with the Sony heavy hitters. It's crazy, because I love racing games. So that means Microsoft's exclusives portfolio obviously interests me the most because they have something I'm interested in every 12 months, whereas Sony, they don't have that. And to go back to only getting a Forza Motorsport game every 2 years and no Horizon in between, it just wouldn't be the same, it really wouldn't be. And I think it would impact Microsoft a lot. I think getting Playground now is probably the perfect time to get them. They're working on Horizon 4. We're pretty much certain they're doing Fable.
Right.
It's a good time to swoop in and buy.
It's a good move, Alan. There's no arguing it. There's no discussion. It's kind of like it's just a must-have.
Absolutely.
The only thing I bring up is, me and Crap had this discussion was, he goes, well, Mooch, you're not as excited as I am. I said, I'm not as excited because now, Alan, let's say you start work at 7:30 in the morning, right? But I come up to you as your boss and I'm like, Alan, lately you haven't gotten your reports in. You haven't emailed the people I've asked you to do. And then you go, yeah, but boss, I was here on time today. And I'm like, yeah, but that was you're supposed to do that, Alan. Like, right? So, like, acquiring Playground Games is something that they were supposed to do. So, like, when we were having this conversation, they're like, that means that they locked down for Forza Horizon and we've locked down Fable. Those are Xbox games. Like, we locked down what we should have locked down 3-4 years ago. So I think they ended up paying high. Okay, they ended up paying high for Playground Games because of what Alan just said. Yeah. Playground Games has only saved their life this generation. Okay, so they were like, okay, you want to sit down at the table? Now's the time to sit down at the table when we're at the highest peak of our career. You're going to pay top dollar for them. So it's a bad business move as far as their financials. Does anybody care about that? No. It's good that they acquired them. And it was the same thing with Gears. I mean, you could have sat down with Gears and Epic and sat down a long time ago before you had to pay top dollar for it when Epic knew you needed the title. So, the thing about it is just, I think Microsoft is always guilty of this across all of their products, is they're always overpaying and not sitting at the table at the right time. Again, it is a positive thing. I only say that this is something that should have happened a long time ago.
Yeah,
a long time ago.
You have to remember as well, though, that Playground has a lot more talent now than they did, say, 4 years ago. They have 2 studios now instead of just one. They have 2 pretty substantial big teams.
This is true.
They've hired a lot of really talented game developers who've worked on big franchises.
This is true.
They've also hired a lot of fresh talent from universities. The work they do for the British games industry is actually unbelievable. Forza Horizon is so important in the UK games industry. It's unbelievable. The amount of university students who might not have jobs if it wasn't for a studio like Playground is kind of unbelievable. So they do a lot of great stuff there. And these students that, former students that they're hiring are really, we're seeing it. They're really good. They know what they're doing. And I think Playground have been so smart, and I think they've got a lot of talent. I think now is a good time for Microsoft to buy. I just hope that if Microsoft does buy them, that they still give Playground freedom in terms of how they hire people, because Playground have been really good at hiring people. They've been really, really good at it.
Yes.
The only thing is, when you're owned by Microsoft, Microsoft usually takes over the hiring process. So that'd be, as someone who looks at Playground as, if I lived in the UK, that's a studio I'd love to work for as like a community manager or something like that. They had a position like that recently that I was considering maybe putting in an application for. But anyways, beyond that, I think, in terms of that aspect, it would be good if Microsoft, kind of let them keep doing their thing like the way they've been doing it, because they've been doing that thing really well. They have been. There's no denying it.
But like you say, Microsoft's track record doesn't usually show that.
Right, because they've bought companies and they've had, an amazing track record front. And then after that, it feels like things kind of go downhill. Like, the disastrous Nokia acquisition. Like, Lumia was doing so well, they bought it, and then things went downhill.
Right.
Really fast. So
here's the thing is, like, I noticed with this, these are all Playground games, and correct me if I'm wrong, Alan, a lot of them started from the old Codemaster guys, right? There's a fallout with Codemasters. A lot of core talent either got walking papers or they walked out. I don't know what the story is. But that's where they originated from. And you take Forza Horizon 1, I wasn't really sold on it. I really wasn't. Horizon 2, whatever. Horizon 3 grabbed me. And they continue to build the studio. Now, you also have a studio that it's started in a culture of, I wouldn't say bitterness, but there's a falling out of, and so usually what happens in those situations is developers want to be independent. So I look at this situation completely differently in the sense of Microsoft was able to acquire, if it all pans out, they're able to acquire a studio that started off with the premise of being independent, and now they want to be under the umbrella of Microsoft. That's a huge 180 turnaround for a studio.
A really good point.
And people don't think about it. Like, yes, money is involved, but there's so many other things you have to bring to the table with the purchase to get people on board. Because you can do money, you can do all that sort of stuff, but you make the hiring difficult for them, and then maybe they don't want to sign up for that deal. Yeah, they may get that check, and guess what? Well, nothing's keeping them after 3 years. So these sort of acquisitions, there's a lot of moving parts in regards to that, and the culture of the studio is a big part of it. So I look at it as a much bigger deal. And then what it also secures for Microsoft is a couple of things on their exclusive end of things, right? You know, the original deals in place, those take care of them now, right? That's the latest Forza Horizon we're most likely going to get this year, right? The second one would be the middle. Like, you have to take care of the middle in the future, right? So the middle is the Fable, right? Which is, you know, been pre-production for about a couple of years now. So, you know, it probably has a year or two left until that game comes out. And then the long game, which is whatever their next thing they're going to be doing, and it's not guaranteed, but now that if they're acquired, that does guarantee that takes care of the long term for them. And they're a studio that has a good track record that hits the mark like every other year. Like, they're hitting the mark with a engine that really is not designed for what they're trying to do with Horizon. The Forza engine's not built for that. So, like, there's a lot of things to unpack there if people want to look at it. So go ahead.
I was going to say it real quick. The thing with Forza Tech Engine is it is actually a cross-collaboration platform. So both Turn 10 and Playground have built that engine, and they built it leading up to the release of Forza 5 and Xbox One. And with each entry in the Forza game, they pretty much add to that engine. So, yeah, you know, like those two teams do work very closely, Turn 10 and Playground. So we do have kind of yet to see Playground fully make a game by themselves. That's another thing as well to keep in mind, because Turn 10 do help out a lot, and you know, even Playground will help out with aspects of motorsport. They're very, very, very close. Those two teams are.
Absolutely, and what from what I understand, they're the studios, which is rare for studios, they're working in 2 different engines now. So for the Forza Horizon franchise, it's the Forza Tech engine, as you mentioned, and then everyone's assuming Fable game is, as far as I understand, possibly Unreal.
Yeah,
is what I'm hearing. So
I feel like they'd use Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a couple things popped up on the Unreal store that makes me believe that that's from those guys. So because you can basically put source code up on the Unreal Engine store to basically buy blueprints and stuff like that to help minimize the coding and stuff like that for your own personal game. You basically just buy the code and you can add it to your game if it works. So
nice.
Well, listen, you know, again, I think it's a big deal. And I'm going to segue into keeping with the Microsoft umbrella, because there's been a lot going on. And I want to get the panel's opinion on what they thought of Matt Booty, the Matt Booty interview. And immediately, you know, a lot of people took it as being a negative, like, okay, they're not doing single player games. Mooch, I kind of want to, because I know you touched on Xbox Nation, but I'd like you to kind of further your point with it. What was your takeaway from the interview?
No, I mean, listen, there was no doom and gloom on that interview.
Yes,
there really wasn't. There was nothing wrong with it. My only thing is that I don't know why Matt Booty even is talking about it. They're already, Microsoft right now is in, I think they're going to have a very good E3. I think they're going to have a stellar E3, by the way, especially from things that we're hearing behind the scenes. And I'll tell you the truth. They just need a PR department that can go out there and stress. They don't need to be talking about single player and games as a service right now. Right now, Xbox is getting this cloud over them that they're not going to be making single player games. And that's all not true. That's so not true. They're going to be doing the same thing that they've been doing, but maybe with a little bit more of a focus on games as a service as they move forward, because that's just the way that's the direction gaming's going. So dissecting. I've had a million people read it on a million different podcasts this week. I don't need to hear it again, but at the same time, the point of the matter is that Matt Booty came out. He in his best way that he possibly could. He reemphasized the fact that he's going to be looking at single player. But the single player games will have things like, added DLC, added things that you're used to as a gamer and as a consumer already. Like I said, the only thing that I would say is that I think Microsoft needs to hire. They have a PR department, but the ironic part is the PR department watches the executives after they tweet or who they can tweet or who they can't tweet. The PR department should be doing the tweeting, and the executives shouldn't.
Yes,
that doesn't mean that that doesn't mean that they can't say, "Hey, I'm streaming later on." Sure, you absolutely promote the brand, but the executives are going out there giving a lot of these press statements, and then they have to do a damage control afterwards. And I think that's what's happening here, Boom, because you can't just put out a presser the way he did or an interview the way he did and expect every single consumer to understand what he's saying. Yes, the Don gets it. Yes, Alan gets it. Yes, people who are in the know get it. But people who are just casually reading this, and maybe a future Game Informer may read it and look at it the wrong way.
Yeah.
And that's where I think the problem came from the interview. It wasn't what he actually said. It's the way that people are interpreting it wrong.
Let me expand upon it. It's timing is part of the problem too, right? They don't know when to strike on these sort of things. And this is like just an interview. So like, obviously he's just thinking about what bases I need to cover and what I need to talk about and what's the vision of what we're going to do going forward as a company. But I look at the impact of this interview where the state of where the community looks in gaming, looking at Microsoft versus maybe seeing the same interview in February would have got a totally different result. And then the same interview directly after E3 would have totally got a different result as well, right? So timing is 1% key. You can't rationalize with somebody that's upset. And you can't rationalize with a group, especially a group mentality that's upset. You have to let people just kind of go through their motions. Can't really say anything to them. You can't it's not rational thought that will get through to them. You have to just kind of just let them be. And kind of when the masses have that moment, then you can start with rational thought. But the problem is that opportunity was in February. It wasn't now. That opportunity is after E3, after we finally get an idea what Microsoft is planning for the rest of the year, right? So it starts making sense and it holds a little bit more weight. So that's the thing that they're just kind of not putting the pieces of the puzzle together as a company. Like, they're smart people. They got good plans. I think they have good things planned for us. I just don't think they really understand the timing and when to say these things and,
shocking,
and when not to. And this has been an ongoing problem since the launch of the Xbox One. It hasn't gone away to a certain degree. The messaging has been consistent now between the different executives, but the timing's still been off and knowing when to say things. So, all right, guys, I hate to bail on you guys. I have to go.
No, you told me from the beginning. Listen, just real quick, tell people where they can check you out, because you always have something interesting to say, Don, and I appreciate you taking the time.
Absolutely. The best way to follow what I'm doing is at the Don KTR on Twitter. If I'm on YouTube or doing a podcast, you'll see me there.
Yep.
And I'll definitely tweet it out, make sure it's known what I'm doing and all that good stuff. Walsh, who else we got here today? We got
Invader,
the Welsh Gamer, Invader,
Alan.
I feel like Alan, man, I feel like I've talked over everybody. So anyways, I gotta go. You guys have a good show. And I'll see you guys on a later podcast. All right.
You got it, brother. Thanks again, dude.
Ciao,
bro. All right. Well, please, speak on it, brother. Go for it.
No, but this is the thing, right? I mean, I haven't actually seen this interview. So, to summarize, what exactly has this guy said?
Well, he said a lot, and what I'll do is I'm gonna add the link and I'll send it to you through DM, because it is an interesting read. The press immediately ran with, in fact, you know what? I'm gonna do a quick read of one of the quotes, and it was regarding single player, and then we'll kind of discuss it a little bit. He says, There will always be single-player games with maybe 20 to 30 hours of gameplay. We love those kinds of games, and there's a place for them. And then the next quote, which goes right into it, it says, games really have become much more social, much more mainstream, much more widespread. We know that the game industry is growing and that it's taking nothing away from what you call the single-player narrative, cinematic game, but we see a lot of interest from our players in more community-driven, ongoing franchises. I think that this is in alignment with a lot of the trends we're seeing in gaming overall. So that particular statement, the second one, people read that and they're like, "Oh my God, no single-player games. If it's not, if it doesn't involve microtransactions, Microsoft's not making it." And like Mooch said, you know, go ahead, Welch.
No, I was just going to say, like, my first reaction from what you just read, I really don't see the issue.
I don't see it either. I don't.
He just reiterated what Phil has said on multiple occasions, what Aaron Greenberg and bloody Mike Ibarra have said. Like, at the end of the day, like Xbox, if somebody asked me how I would describe Xbox's games and its first party games and generally like its outlook when it's making a video game, I just think a game that you longevity, you play it, whether it be the single player first, then the multiplayer, or co-op with your friends, then more multiplayer, or multiplayer, then single player. There's more to do than just a 30-hour campaign. So that's basically, in my opinion, all the man is saying. And it's no different to what others have said before him. It's just like he's basically saying, when you purchase one of our games, you're not going to be playing it for 6 to 10 hours and be done with it. You'll be playing it for a long time.
Yeah, and to me, it's more of a non-issue. Like, from what I read, everything seems pretty good. I guess the only real issue is looking at Microsoft's lineup, and the Don kind of touched on this, is that, you know, I think it would have been better if they had said this after E3 or after Gamescom, and their lineup had a bit more padding to it, and there was a bit more reassurance in what we were getting. But really, though, you know, they're committed to having single-player experiences, and they're committed to adding longevity to the games. We just got to see what that means.
The problem is, though, Invader, I think I honestly don't think it matters when an executive over at Microsoft speaks on these kind of things, whether they do it on a Tuesday or a Thursday, whether they did it last week or a year from now. No matter when or why or for whatever reason they speak out in an interview or tweet something out, the media and the fanboys and the haters will twist it into however non-accurate. Like, well, I can only imagine what people have been saying. Like you said, Boom, people running with, oh, they're never gonna have single player games. Like, at what point did the man say they are not going to make single player games? But people ran with that, and people are going to believe that, and it won't change a thing. So even though I know what you mean, maybe a nice stellar lineup after E3, they can say what they want, and it might have not been twisted as much. But I still think, regardless of the time of day or the time of year or which month they speak out about these sort of things, is a touchy subject for people, and people will use it in their arsenal of agenda, bloody goalpost moving bollocks all the time. It don't really matter.
Well,
I personally do feel like that this kind of interview would have been better suited to, like, next week.
Yes.
I think next week, a few days after the conference, would have been perfect. Now, I know there's going to be a lot of interviews coming out next week. Phil Spencer's doing interviews, Matt Booty will be doing interviews, and I know Mike Wybara is doing interviews. So you're going to see a lot of interviews coming out from those guys next week. You're going to see interviews from Ralph Fulton for Forza Horizon. You're going to see interviews from some of the Halo team, because they obviously have an announcement coming up. And you might even see Rod Ferguson doing interviews as well. So you're going to see a lot of people from Microsoft doing interviews next week. There's going to be a lot of interviews hitting the internet. And I don't know why this interview went out this week. I think it's better to show what you have.
Yes.
Talk about it. Show, then tell. The issue is, when Matt is speaking in that interview there and then, he obviously can't refer to what they're announcing at E3, but he knows in the back of his mind what's coming. So he's talking based on, his knowledge. But of course, to the majority of people, they're not going to necessarily see it that way because they don't know obviously what's coming. So I think this interview next week probably could have went down really well for them. But you know, at the end of the day, it is people twisting his words, isn't it? Like,
yeah. Well, I mean, again, that's unfortunately
they're gonna have single player games. They're gonna have games that heavily emphasize both single player and multiplayer, and they're gonna have games that obviously have, you know, downloadable content and add-ons and, you know, even microtransactions. It's, you know, I feel like they're going to pretty much target all areas. I don't see them like avoiding single player. I don't think that's going to happen.
Yeah, no, I agree. Listen, if no one else has anything to speak on the Matt Booty interview, because I think this has really been talked about, but I wanted to mention it because obviously I highly respect everybody's opinion on this panel. I want to move into the PlayStation realm, and they've had a few leaks themselves, and one particular leak that we're going to talk about now. Again, this is a couple of days from E3, so everyone is going to speculate, right? This is not facts. I personally don't have any inside scoops to Sony, Microsoft, or Nintendo. But I'm a fan, so you know this is a fan-made show for the fans of gaming, and I want to. You know, we will sometimes report on rumors. We sometimes report on leaked documents that wind up being fake. We don't know this until Sony does their show. But I have a list in front of me, and I'm gonna be completely honest. This looks like a Sony fan's wet dream come true on paper. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna read the list, because I got excited. I mean, I was out of my mind with excitement when I read this list. And then I'm going to turn it over to the panel to see what you take. And I had said in the tweet, if in fact this is everything that Sony is going to show, just add a W to their list of Ws, because this is an outstanding list. And this is how it goes. It starts out, it says internal use only. They have their show duration being 1 hour and 45 minutes. The presenter is going to be John Cordera, who's obviously the CEO. And this is the list of games in order. Ghost of Tsushima is supposed to be a demo. Followed by that is they're going to have Medieval, the remake, which is going to be a trailer. Then they have something called PlayStation Party VR, which is going to be a trailer. They're going to show Spyro Reignited Trilogy as a trailer. And then they're going to have Spider-Man PSVR mode in a demo. Followed by that, they're going to have Shenmue 3 finally being shown in a demo format. And this is what got me excited. Resident Evil 2 remake in PlayStation. It's going to have a PlayStation VR mode very similar to RE7. That's going to be a trailer. Then they're going to have Devil May Cry 5 as a demo. Final Fantasy Remake 7. Final Fantasy 7, the remake, as a demo. Kingdom Hearts 3 as a trailer. And this is where gets interesting. BioShock Resurgence, PlayStation VR mode as a trailer. Bloodborne 2, which I think is fake simply because that the director already said they weren't working on a Bloodborne 2, but they could surprise us. Death Stranding demo. The Last of Us Part 2 demo. And this is where it gets really interesting again. They're going to announce Players Unknown Battleground as a trailer for the PlayStation 4, and then they're going to close out the show with SOCOM Coalition as a teaser trailer. I mean, this list is, when you talk about a stacked list, this is probably fake, folks, so take it with a grain of salt, but wow. I'm going to open it up to the panel. What do you guys think?
Well, I think it's like a person on a reset era is like wet dream, to be honest with you, because
it covers no doubt.
Well, the thing is, like, it talks about games we already know about, and all the things there you can kind of predict, except for like maybe one or two things. I mean, hey, don't get me wrong, that's a good list, and I would love to see a new BioShock or see Bloodborne. Don't get me wrong about that, but there's things just that are missing there, because we know that they have deals with, I think, Red Dead Redemption 2.
Correct. Yes.
And most likely Call of Duty. So you would think that would be included in the lineup. And then even from their own first party, I'm not seeing Media Molecule's game there, Dreams.
Which is supposed to be shown from what I heard, yes.
Yeah. So there's, like, it's a good guessing list, but it just, there's a lot they're missing that we know should be there.
Right. I mean, look, like I said, this is what's fun about these shows. No one comes on and claims that this is factual. We all speculate, and that's what this is. Again, I say it almost every show. It's a conversational podcast, and all of us that are here really enjoy talking about games. So that's what we're going to do with this. Mooch, I know that you play both systems. Somehow or another, you've already gotten half of these games Mooch to you, even if they're not real. They're the code. They're making up the codes as we speak.
Yeah, right.
What's your take on this, man?
Well, and if you probably didn't see my side message, I had to step away for a second. What was if you can give me the short version? What was the short version?
Oh
of the
yeah,
list?
dude, I just saw it. I'm so sorry. Trying to do. I'm looking at four screens.
You have to explain to me. Like sometimes I crossfire people like, Mooch, come here and answer me in the chat, and I'm like, because I'm doing 8 other things, but I'm trying my best. What was the list, real quick? If you don't
the list, real quick, was Ghost of Tsushima, Medieval, PlayStation Party VR, Spyro Reignited Trilogy, Spider-Man, PlayStation VR, Shenmue 3, Resident Evil 2 Remake PSVR, Devil May Cry 5, Final Fantasy 7 Remake, Kingdom Hearts 3, BioShock Resurgence PlayStation VR, Bloodborne 2, Death Stranding, The Last of Us 2, the announcement of PUBG on the PlayStation 4, and SOCOM Coalition.
This is a rumored list?
Well, I mean, yeah, I have a list.
There's a couple of things we already know are not on that list, right? We've already talked. I'm sure you guys already discussed it, but Bloodborne 2 is not happening.
Yes, I said
right?
that. Yes,
and PUBG. Come on, no, that's not happening. That's why they raced to get H1Z1 Battle Royale out there,
and it's doing well for them.
It's doing very well.
7 million players,
doing very well. Now the BioShock thing. I mean, listen, I got news for you. You want to bring me? I have not. And I'm off on my dates. I don't write down. I don't have a running log of when the last time I used my VR. But it was freezing out. Let me just so you guys have an idea. It was freezing, not cold. It was freezing out the last time I put that thing on. I remember that
we're probably thinking
February. Yeah, January, February time frame. So if there is a BioShock, right. If there's a BioShock Resurgence or anything like that, that would actually get me to put that ridiculous helmet back on. But the other things, a lot of those other things are all like, no shit. We've heard they're coming. We think they're going to be, they're definitely going to be on stage or talked about this E3 week. So, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, I think, the initial games that we heard they're going to play in depth is going to be fantastic. I'm really looking forward to the 4 games they've got. That's the Sucker Punch game. That's Spider-Man. I believe they're going to show The Last of Us 2. I mean, listen, if you guys have been following me on Twitter, even this morning, shout out to Pac-Man Jones or Patman Jones, awesome dude who follows all of us on Twitter and follows all of our shows. He goes, Mooch, I just got my PS4 for the first time. He's a big Xbox guy. What should I play? I said, you need to play The Last of Us.
Yeah.
So The Last of Us 2 has got all of my attention, every single bit of my attention. But yeah, I think Sony's going to have a very the words I would use, and when I say safe, I don't mean safe as belittling it at all. I mean safe as far as just a very, very entertaining, game-centric show. I think you're just going to see a lot of games, a lot of stuff they have coming out in the next 6 to 8 months that are big bangers, and then you're going to see stuff that I think they're going to show some, even though they said they wouldn't. I think you're going to see certain games that are coming out 2 years from now, a year and a half, 3 years from now. I think they'll have a presence on stage. Sony has a very good way of getting their point across and keeping your attention. They'll have a couple of lacklusters, and then they'll go bang, and then they'll have a couple of lacklusters, and then bang. Where Microsoft a lot of times will have the bang up front, and then you all know, we get Minecraft and we get, the Chris Charla show. Everybody, he should have his own theme song by now, right? It could be the old Barry Sanders show or Larry Sanders show theme song for Chris Charla, right? It's just when Chris Charla comes on, I know to go get a soft drink and a snack. So it is what it is, but yeah, no, it's going to be a great show, but I think I think
at the end of the day, we're all going to win as gamers, no matter what flag you fly. I really do.
Yeah, right. Absolutely. The thing with E3 lists is that they pop up a lot online.
Oh, of course they do. Yeah,
I think the thing to remember is companies don't actually make like a list of their announcements per se. And the other thing. The thing I found, the other thing I always find quite amusing is that whenever, companies do talk about their titles, and things like that, internally, they always go by the code name. You know, they literally only start using the actual name of the game once they're announcing it. That's literally what they do. Because I remember last year for the Xbox One X, when they sent out all the press documents for the Xbox One X after the conference, they all said Project Scorpio in them. Because the PR teams, from what I know, didn't actually know the name of the system either, because they kept it very quiet at Microsoft. So that's like a couple of things, you know, with E3. I see a lot of people who send them to me, and they're like, oh my God, is this real? And I'm like, you know, no, it isn't. But I always do enjoy looking at them. I think it's great to see the speculation and the creativity, and it can be amusing to see if people can actually get an E3 list and make it, you know, pretty spot on to what's actually announced. It's fun.
It's fun to speculate.
It's
yeah, I mean that's
good
fun.
Good fun.
I gotta say though, Alan, like when you said these guys don't actually have a list, I gotta be honest, I had to mute my mic. I giggled because I could just all I could think of was whoever, this John Kadir or whatever, with his thick specs on, and he's like, right, thank you, the guys from Medieval, that's brilliant. Right, next we have on our list PlayStation Party. Come on the stage, thank you.
Someone needs to do a list. Someone needs to do that for E3. Actually, speaking of that as well, that John guy probably won't be presenting it. It'll probably be Sean Layden.
Yeah, I believe Sean Layden has always come out. The question is how tight is his T-shirt going to be?
Yeah,
I don't know.
And will you wear a T-shirt that says you can now change your PSN username?
The answer is no. They'll never do that.
But you know, guys,
you know what? That's the one announcement I really want them to make.
Dude,
I want to change my PSN name.
Let me tell you something. Somebody put out something. I'm so terrible with names. I apologize. If you're listening or you listen on the playback, he did a Throwback Thursday where they showed when Phil Spencer came on stage and announced backwards compatibility. And I'm going to be honest with you. Maybe I'm a nerd, and I get it, man. Listen, yeah, we're all nerds in our own way. I got freaking goosebumps when not so much the announcement, but when the crowd just exploded with excitement. Right? I mean, that's what we live for. And I'm telling you this right now. I don't care whether it's this year or 5 years from now, when that announcement happens, I'm in New York, in New Rochelle, New York. I'm going to be able to hear the cheer from the convention center if that happens for the Sony fans. I'm going to be honest.
Yeah. You know, when I was at the Microsoft briefing last year and in the Galen Center, like, the atmosphere is incredible. It's so incredible. And it's such an amazing experience, you know, and like when, you know, you have the big announcements, like when they announced the name of the Xbox One X, when they announced it was 500, when they had Kareem Chowdhury going through the different aspects of the console, and when he said it was the smallest Xbox ever, all those key moments had these really loud cheers, and my God, that room was pumped, especially from the fans sitting around the center to where the execs stand. Like, it's crazy, you know. It's such a cool experience, and like, my God, I'd love to have been there when they did the backwards compatibility announcement, because I think that cheer that happened for backwards compatibility, I think, was probably louder than the one Sony had when they announced the price of the PS4. It was incredible, absolutely incredible.
I watched that clip several times because it's like I said, it's not so much the announcement that's not what is getting me. That makes me smile. It's the fans. It's seeing their excitement for an announcement, and that's the one thing I really hope that we see at this year's E3, where they just do one after another. I don't necessarily need to see everything that's being worked on behind closed doors, but we need to see a little bit of a glimpse. And I think that kind of, you know, you show Perfect Dark or you show something that they're working on that's maybe even 2 or 3 years out, that's fine. You know, do a Fable logo. The people would go ape shit.
You know, you know what you're just saying there. It just reminds me actually of when Microsoft announced Horizon 3 at E3 2016.
Oh, that was great, dude.
It was an amazing reveal. But you know, it was so cool because so many feature requests from diehard Forza fans were being shown on that stage. Things Forza fans were asking for years, didn't think they were going to happen. Ralph Fulton's on the stage. He's like, wide body kits are in. Campaign co-op is in. We're doing Xbox and PC crossplay. We're doing all these headlining Forza features. We're taking the game to Australia. We're bringing in all these cards we wanted. And it's like, my God, that demo blew it away. Like, I could hear the cheers, you know, almost from Forza fans who'd be watching it from home, because I just, the amount of excitement that was in that 6-minute demo or however long it was just incredible. Like, those Forza demos they do at E3 recently are just amazing. And if they can get that same level of excitement,
I think they're going to do
from all their other games, it would be incredible.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny you mentioned Forza, because I think if Playground Games, literally, like, we're talking about the hype levels here. We want to be knocked off our chairs. Like, we want to be like, whoa. I think, honestly, if Playground Games came out and just said, yeah, we're making Fable, and they just dropped the mic. It is over. It is over. It is over. They might as well close up shop and be like, there'd be mass collapse, mate. You'd hear. Yeah. I don't know about the cheers. You'd be hearing sirens. There'd be like ambulances.
Yeah, I think whether they just announce it or they show something, I think Playground has to mention Fable. I would like to see them mention it. I don't care if it's a 1-second CGI. Give me something, right? The other thing about it is I think that we don't really talk about this because Fable's still just a rumor at this point, right? Nothing's really truly confirmed, Alan. I don't think we know anything in concrete yet, but we know all signs point to it. Anybody else hoping that this is when I say this, Fable fans are like, what do you mean? I think it's pretty clear. I want a darker, a darker reboot,
dark, gritty RPG.
Yeah, I don't want Fable to look like Fortnite. Okay.
So something to The Witcher.
I really don't.
Yeah, something like that. It doesn't have to be I don't want them. And when you say that, you have to be careful. You have to say everything and then have like a reference. I don't mean it has to be The Witcher. No. I don't. I want it to be Fable. But can it be Fable but darker and more like sinister? And people are like, well, you could catch a disease in the old Fable. I'm like, that's not what I'm talking about.
Right.
I'm talking about the look, the feel, the environment.
What you're trying to. Yeah, well, I think what you're trying to explain is you don't want you want Lord of the Rings. You're not looking for Monty Python.
Do you remember the dark doom and gloom sections of Ori and the Blind Forest? Remember when it was that dark and like you're in the forest and it was nasty? That's what I'm talking about, where you can still have a cartoony look, but you can make the environment like that dark, sinister, and give it that realm. Give it that how Shrek kind of turned fairy tales into like this ridiculous nonsense that was hysterical. You can still have all of that and still change the essence of what that beginning part was with Fable. I just think that if you come out with Fable and it's just, goofy and Fortnite-y and just all bright and the trees are perfect, brown bark and like green, green leaves. It's like, that's just so blah.
Yeah.
I've got to agree. I have to agree. I'm a big Fable fan myself. And I think if Playground Games are in fact doing a Fable, they can't mimic what has already been done. They need to do it all. They need to start from scratch. They need to make it their own.
Make it theirs.
And I think the level of gaming that it is now, we're not on the original Xbox and stuff like that. It probably didn't have the hardware behind it to make a realistic, darker game or whatever. I mean, I'm probably just throwing shit out there that don't make sense. But my point is, I think now with a new system, new team behind it, they need to make it theirs and they need to go in. And I think when you say The Witcher, like that's kind of what I'm hoping. I don't want it to be a copy of The Witcher, but the same level of detail, the little bit of humor here and there, but like I want it to be a very engrossing dark game.
Well, yeah, when I say The Witcher, just like people I think want that narrative depth that The Witcher has, the amount of detail, the combat. Like I just think people are yearning for something a little more than the tried and true Fable from the past.
No, mate, absolutely. I completely agree. Completely agree.
To be honest, when I think about a Playground Games Fable, I am thinking of something, kind of like The Witcher 3. That game An image of that game just pops into my head when I think about a Playground Games making Fable, because I think that's kind of the approach they would do. I think they would do something dark, gritty. I feel like that is what they would do. Now, I just want to mention real quickly, I was just thinking this to myself. So, do you remember back in 2016 when going on a bit of a tangent, bear with me, Activision announced Infinite Warfare, they did the trailer, but at the end of that trailer, they had a snippet for Modern Warfare Remastered. What if at E3, at the end of the Horizon 4 trailer, a small glimpse of Fable?
Dude,
Exactly.
just drop the mic and just walk off the stage.
So they don't.
Everyone
even
still,
mention
Alan. Everybody still loves the "and one more thing," right? Everyone loves that.
Yes.
Yeah, it is true. I think when they announce Fable this year, what is most realistic is they will take that one more thing style approach. You know, if I was to really guess what would happen, I think they'll show the trailer. I think Ralph will come out. They'll do the gameplay demo. That'll go on for about 5 minutes or however long it does. And then I think that's when they'll probably will do their one more thing. They'll show that small glimpse of Fable. They won't talk about it on stage. Ralph will walk off. That'll be it. And then they'll move on to the next thing.
What about a subtle Easter egg, like a car paint job with the Fable logo and everything?
Oh, that's great, dude.
In the trailer, yeah,
like in the trailer, so a lot of people would miss it, but anyone who's looking for it will be like, "Hold the bus, shit, it's there!" Wow.
See a chicken on the car.
That is an awesome idea, Welsh. To be honest with you, like that. And let me tell you something. You say people would miss that? No, they wouldn't.
No, someone hire the Welsh.
No, they wouldn't.
You need.
That was a great idea.
Department of Support. Hire this dude.
I'm here all week.
Yeah. I think. Something of that nature. Like I feel like we have to hear something, because you can imagine next week. As I said, Ralph Fulton, he's going to be doing a lot of Forza Horizon 4 interviews, but you guys can already guess what the media are going to be asking him. Is Microsoft buying you? Are you making Fable? Those questions are going to come up in those Horizon 4 interviews. And that's why I think to myself, do Microsoft get this out of the way at this year's E3 so people aren't going to keep asking about it? So people can get hyped and excited and they can start their marketing and just get the ball rolling, Could they even do I don't know, like if a beta program or a demo thing would work for Fable, but something where maybe if you buy Horizon 4, you get some kind of like early access or something.
Jesus Christmas, that would be fantastic.
I don't know if they should do that or not. Like these ideas are kind of they're things up for debate, right? But yeah, I think there can definitely be some crossover applied here, but I do think. Yeah, I think over the next few days, I think we're going to learn a lot about Playground Games and what they're currently up to.
Yeah, I definitely agree. Well, listen, I do have a Road to E3 segment I've been doing, but I do have one more topic, and this is actually going to be my big shout out to him. He's a fan of all of us, and he follows everyone. He shows up in the chat all the time. And that, of course, I'm talking about is DJ Singh. And I just want to thank him for all his amazing support. He brought up something and he asked me personally to talk about it. And I think it's worth talking about. And that is, of course, the Rockstar Games controversy. And we had a really fantastic pre-game discussion about this. And I really want to bring in the person that was speaking about that regarding the amount of additions that they have and how much money you would need to spend to get everything. I believe, Welsh, was that you?
No, that was Alan.
Alan. Yeah, okay, Alan. What was, I was really interested to hear.
Oh, yeah. So the thing with Red Dead Redemption 2 is I've went through all the different editions. If you want all of the digital and all of the physical goodies, so if you want both things, you're going to be spending $300 on this game, because you'll need to buy the collector's case, obviously, which comes with all the physical stuff. That's $100. It doesn't include a copy of the game. Then there's the physical Ultimate Edition. That comes with a steelbook case, which you don't get in the collector's case. It's a very nice steelbook case. It also comes with a sleeve and a few other things. It's very cool. So that's the Ultimate Edition of the game. Then the digital version of the game comes with some exclusive items in-game that you can't get with the physical versions, and it also comes with 2 million cash for GTA Online if you're interested in that as a pre-order bonus, but that pre-order bonus does not apply to the physical copy. So they've done different bonuses for different versions of it. So if you wanted everything, if you were the die-hard Red Dead 2 fan who wants everything, you're going to be spending $300. Now, the other thing, there's also another side to it as well. Like if you're the person who says, "Oh, well, I'm not that bothered. I'll just get the $60 standard edition." That's fair enough. However, you're going to be missing out on some exclusive story content that's only in the limited edition, which I believe is $80.
Yes, that's correct.
But then, even if you get that version, you're still going to be missing out on some content in online. So if you want that bonus online content, you're going up to the $100 for the Ultimate Edition.
Yeah, it is disappointing for sure.
I've always considered Rockstar your expensive publisher. They don't make a game often, but when they do make a game, you could expect to be paying a bit more than you usually would. It's like we've seen how GTA Online has gone down now. The content updates, like, yes, they're free. However, if you want the items that they add in these GTA content updates, they cost millions of in-game dollars, and to buy those dollars, you either have to grind up for ages in-game, or you'd be spending like $60 on shark cards per update. It's crazy. It feels like a free-to-play game.
Yeah,
even
silly. Yes,
even Fortnite. Fortnite is a free-to-play game, and they're way more fairer when it comes to that. So way more fair. If you spend $25 on Fortnite, because I did that admittedly because I wanted to get an outfit, I wanted to get the battle pass. I feel like you get so much more bang for your buck than if you spend that on GTA Online. Christ, you'd be lucky if you could afford a supercar with that.
Yeah, well, I really wish that they wouldn't push this stuff like just to get the special editions of the game. This is just kind of like a greedy publisher thing. It's not so much Rockstar as it is like what Take-Two.
It's probably to be fair, it's probably a combination of Rockstar's leadership team and Take-Two. It's they've seen how well GTA 5's done for them. They've seen how well, like, even the collector's edition of GTA 5, like, those things sell really well for them. So, they're like, buy, like, we're going to have a collector's edition, so you can buy that, but it doesn't come with the games. You're going to have to buy the game separately. Now, I get they do have this reason where it's like, oh, well, we know some people would prefer to have the game digitally, so that's why we give them the collector's edition. But it's like, when you buy the collector's edition, why can't there be an option to say, I want it to come with a copy of the game, and you pay a bit extra, you get a copy of the game, and you can choose whether you want that copy of the game to be physical or digital. Like, if they would just add that element of choice to it, I feel like it would help so many consumers out.
Yeah, I agree.
It would. So that's the thing with Red Dead 2. I'm currently, because obviously I'm really excited for the game, so I'm currently debating with myself, what version or versions do I buy? So I'm thinking at the moment what I probably will end up doing is I'll probably get the digital Ultimate Edition comboed with the collector's case, but I'm still thinking about it.
Well, I'm gonna if you're not familiar with what we're talking about, I want to go into a little bit more specifics. Rockstar did a tweet, and the two modes that you will not be able to play if you spend $60, $65.01 here in the States. After tax, are called the Bank Robbery and Gang Hideout. These are only included in the Red Dead 2 Special Edition, and they are side activities created specifically for that edition and are not part of the main story. And, I have to say, as a consumer who at one point used to buy everything, and I'm in a position where I don't know if I'll be able to get the $100 collector's edition, simply because when you're on a budget, you have to make choices, and sometimes just getting the game is enough. And that would be my particular situation, where I would just get the $60 game and be like, okay, well, I suppose maybe sometime down the line they will make this DLC available to buy separately, and maybe I'll buy it then. But I think that this is pretty crummy, and considering it's coming from Rockstar, who, look, let's call it like it is. They are on the cusp at the end of 2018 to surpass 100 million copies of GTA 5 sold.
Wow.
I mean, say that number out loud again. 100 million copies of a game that spanned the 360, the PS3, the Xbox One, and the PS4. I mean, that is insane. So they're not hurting for money. That's why this surprises me. I mean, are you guys disappointed with this move?
Well,
Yes.
of course. I mean, it just seems like a very pressuring tactic just to get the consumer to pony up and buy the extra $20-$30 for a certain edition. Like it's not very fan friendly, if you know what I mean. You know, all kinds of people love Red Dead, and it just seems like a slap in the face to fans. Like it's something that should be available for everybody just in the base game, you know. So,
well, I mean, look, a good friend of the show, Neverland, said yes. Don't forget PC. Yeah, so there was a PC version as well. So they have money coming in from every angle. But you know what? We're gonna finish today's show on a high note. This is where
can I quickly just say one little thing on this?
Oh, please, by all means, come on in.
I will be quick. All I can say is I'm a big fan of Rockstar. I'm a big fan of their work. They're a phenomenal developer. I put them up in very high standing with CD Projekt Red as two of my favorite developers of all time. I cannot wait for Red Dead Redemption 2, and I will be getting it regardless. I'll more than likely get the standard edition because I'm on a budget too, Boom. But I think this is a huge slap in the face. I think it'll split the player base, and frankly, if anyone's listening, speak with your wallets. Do yourself and every gamer next to you a huge favor and buy the standard edition. And when everyone out there buys only the standard edition, they'll be forced to provide these things.
Yes, I think you're 100% right. That is a well-spoken comment. Yes, very well-spoken.
It's not right. It's just not right. Look at GTA 5, the success of that game. 100 million sold, you say. And they have been constantly updating that game every single year, free of charge. And the success is not hindered at all, is not dipped at all. So why have they thought now, Red Dead 2, one of the probably the most anticipated game of this generation, why have they thought to cheap out with some of these like faddish, like pay this extra for a glow in the dark case? I don't know what their plan is. I don't know what has happened. It is out of character for them. But I think everyone should, hold each gamer next to you tightly and be like, right, we are not falling into this trap, because once Rockstar start doing it, bloody hell, we haven't got a chance of with all these developers. It's just gonna be a trend that won't be broken.
Well, this is their guaranteed cash cow, right? And
yes,
and also if you look at it too, this is like the first game technically they've released this generation for these consoles. I mean, aside from the GTA, the upgrade that it got from the last generation, this is the first Rockstar game for this generation.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I don't know. I like I said, I think the Welsh gamer is correct. I think that if the large portion of the player base just buys the standard game, which to be completely honest, I believe is going to be the case. I think that they're going to eventually have to do like, well, listen, this didn't work out for us as well, but to regain goodwill with the community, hey, everyone, it's free.
Yeah, absolutely. That's what they need to do. That's what they need to do to be consumer friendly and appease the masses. They're going to make their money back. They don't need to do it
regardless. But what I will say is, if they do release that content for free in the future, people who did buy the standard or ultimate edition should be compensated some way in game as well. Like whether it's like bonus cash to use in the online mode or something like that. I think that would be nice, because you don't want people, because there are like a lot of people who are going to buy the ultimate edition because they like to buy the ultimate edition of every game. And I think if you like that stuff, I think that's fine as well. But just don't rip them off in the process of this either. I think they just need to get the balance right, and they need to be clear about it.
If they have like an ultimate edition where you get it a week earlier, and with that ultimate edition you get a model of the main character on horseback with a gun. If people are willing to pay the money for something like that, mate, more power to them. I have no problem with that. But don't separate the player base by restricting certain DLC. The same extras should be available whether you buy standard or ultimate. The ultimate perks, if you ask me, are external. they shouldn't affect the game whatsoever.
Yeah, get a gold coin, get a map, get a figurine,
Yeah,
or
exactly.
something like that.
Yeah. Yeah, like that. That's the kind of stuff that they're putting into their collector's box version of the game, which doesn't come with the game.
Yes, I
But,
know, it's just ridiculous.
yeah, they're following the State of Decay route there.
I wonder how that worked out for State of Decay. Probably not so well because no one's talking about it.
Like, I completely forgot they did that. But I will say there has been an odd time where I've liked the standard, where I've liked the special editions of games not include the game, because I remember for Recore I got a review code for the game digitally, and about a month or so later, the special edition was heavily discounted in a Black Friday deal, and this is the version that comes with the figurine and everything.
That's a great model. It's nice.
Yeah, I love it. And it was discounted. It was heavily discounted, but it was the version that didn't come with the game. And I'm like, well, that's great for me because I already have the game.
Yeah.
So I can just get the statue and I don't need to rebuy the game. I like that aspect to it. I think if you're doing limited editions that don't include the game, you also need to make a version that does include the game.
There you go, Alan.
Yeah.
That's exactly it.
Give people choice. Recore gave people the choice, and I like that. To me, I found that was very beneficial to me because I could buy the game and get it the way I wanted.
Yeah, I don't see why they can't just make two versions. I mean, that's where you're upsetting people. This is a very simple fix. I mean, they're making the physical copy already anyways, right? So there's no harm. There's no harm in having a $150 special edition or Ultimate Edition, and then having the $100 edition for folks that are buying it digitally. They're going to capitalize either way. And
Absolutely.
Right? You can even make the packaging exactly the same. That chest and I'm assuming you're talking about, I apologize, I had to step away for a second, but
yeah, that's okay.
The Red Dead Redemption chest, right?
Yep.
So take that into consideration for a second. The packaging is what costs the money. If the packaging can remain the same, but you just don't put the actual game in it, the packaging doesn't change. It doesn't change. Right. I wouldn't even be offended if where the slot that the game was supposed to be in is just vacant for mine. That's the $99. And I go, oh, look, that's where the slot would have been if I actually bought the physical copy. Because then if I buy one later, I may be able to put it in the slot for better keeping later on anyways. So my point is if the packaging doesn't change, you're not hurting your overall cost and you're making everybody happy. Or just stop making and I know Boom's going to shed a tear here. I mean, I'm not, listen, I've been gaming for a very long time. And unfortunately, if you came into my house, except for all the systems and the games, except for the games and the systems, I don't have a lot of figurines. I don't have a lot of things on the wall. I just don't. What I've got is my trusty memory. That's about it. So the whole thing for me personally, if they did away with it, I know now that I've become so good friends with people in the community that love their Ultimate Editions and their collector's editions. So I would never say they should retract them. But I mean, they either need to do them properly. We always say this, right? Do them properly or don't do them at all. And that's the thing. Yeah. I think now you're confusing the public, you're confusing the consumer, and that's where you're getting a little bit of this this dredging of the nonsense coming up from the bottom and making it just look cloudy. You know what I'm saying? It's making the water cloudy for consumers because they're like, does it come with it? Does it not? Should I be excited? Should I not? And sometimes that hesitation will keep people from pulling the trigger and buying the actual collector's edition.
Yeah, it's silly. But listen, what I'm going to do is we're coming in on the 2-hour mark, but because it's a E3 special, I would feel cheated as a person listening if we didn't have the Road to E3 segment, considering that E3 is 2 days away. And this is a simple question. I'm going to throw it out there to all the entire panel. I will go last because I'm long-winded, as my wife tells me. What 3 games or announcements do you expect to see at this year's E3? And there's a second part to this question. If announced, would this be your game of the show? And everything's on the table. Sony, Microsoft, and Nintendo. I'll go with Mooch first, just in case you have to go.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can stick to the end. To be honest with you, it's a tough question, right? Because everything seems to be up in the air, or we know it for sure already.
Right.
So, I mean, there's really, the wish lists back at early generation were so much easier to come up with. I guess I would like to see something Halo, whether it be the Infinity or it be a Halo 6 CGI. I think if Halo's going to come out in the next year, 12 to 18 months, why not throw a CGI out there? You know, it can do nothing but perk up the fan base.
Yes.
So I would love to see anything in the world that's Halo. You really okay? So let me go out on a ledge. People want something exciting. I've been saying this for 3 years now, and it's not going to happen this year either. But I'll say it again. I'd love to see something with Xbox exclusivity with Left 4 Dead 3.
Dude, that's such a good one.
I'm always holding out for that. I don't think we're ever going to see that. You know, Microsoft put their first party to sleep for a little while. We know that now, but it looks like Valve's put everything to sleep for I don't know how long. So, you know, I don't think that'll happen, but I would like to see that happen. And then, you know, I'm going to throw something out there. It's really going to be a curveball. And I don't know. I'm just going by the amazing amount of like hype I'm seeing from people in the industry in the past 24 hours. I've got a weird suspicion, and we'll dive more into it tonight on Crossfire, that you're going to see some new hardware out of Microsoft. And I don't know where in the world I'm coming up with that. I feel like new hardware is it's on the rise. I think something's going to happen. So I don't know. That's, you know, listen, it's fun to do the far-fetched E3, right? If I was just like, I'm looking forward to Gears XCOM. You're like, somebody get Mooch off the goddamn show. So, you know, I'm going to go ahead and say those are my 3. I know they're all Microsoft-based because Sony's just going to show us what, you know, the games they have coming, and we know there'll be 3 other games. I can't say that Last of Us 2 coming already, so I don't have, you know, I can't say Last of Us 3. So, yeah, those are my 3. I would say that I'm eagerly anticipating and hoping for.
That's great. Listen, I'm gonna go to my good friend, the Welsh Gamer. You always have a lot to say when it talks about predictions. What 3 announcements would blow your socks off?
Right, three things I want to see. 1, Fable, mic drop. We've discussed that in depth. I don't need to go over that. Fable needs to be shown one way or another. Number 2, I want to see, basically, in a nutshell, I want to see Microsoft take this opportunity to wholeheartedly diminish and step on just about every stigma that they have had hanging off them since 2013. So one of those things, just to be very specific, is exclusivity. You ask, what do you mean exclusivity? I mean, people from PC, PlayStation, Xbox, a lot of people, it's a 50-50, you know, toss of a coin. But you have a lot of people who don't agree with the cross-play between PC, Windows 10 initiative. I'm an advocate. I've definitely praised it. It doesn't bother me personally. But I would like to see some announcements for some games, whether it be Halo, Gears, or brand new IPs that have yet to be announced, but announced as exclusive just to the Xbox platform, just to step on that stigma. And then number 3, I just want to see a bit of a roadmap. I think a lot of people are asking for one. A lot of people are hoping for something like, you know, just to keep their attention for years to come. I don't even care if they announce something that's going to be coming out years from now. Obviously, I don't want them to go the Crackdown route and show release dates and a trailer and not a trailer, like gameplay and a Terry Crews cameo. But just like a hint, just like, oh yeah, this is in the works. It's very early in development, but we are working on it. We'll let you know how it goes in months to come. Just something simple. I just want to see them map out what we can expect from them in the next year, and as far as maybe even the next console, if Mooch's point on hardware has any merit. Like, you know, I just want to see them be very transparent. No riddles, no, like, you know, I just want them to be straight with us and give us a hell of an E3.
That's a great lineup. Well said. Alan, I'm going to go to you, my friend. Listen, I know somewhere Forza is going to be involved in there because, of course, you're the Forza guy. And I like I said, your timing being on today's show was perfect. What 3 games literally burns your rubber for this E3, regardless of what company it's for?
Well, I'll start with the obvious one to get out of the way. I'm obviously really excited for Horizon 4. It will probably be my game of the show.
Yes.
I really just want them to blow us away and just like they do with Horizon 3 and just introduce a lot of stuff that, you know, we weren't expecting. That's what I'm really hoping for. And, you know, I would love them to really do a huge, huge map on the scale of something like a continent. It's what Ubisoft is doing with The Crew. They're doing the entire USA as its own map on that racing game. And I'd like to see Forza Horizon be able to kind of come out and do something that can really, kind of compete with that. Now, at the end of the day, map size and all that isn't everything. It's about the content that's in that map. But I really just want them to come out with this Horizon 4 reveal and blow our socks off. We still don't know the cover car for this game, so I have a feeling Microsoft might announce another car on stage.
Yeah, they're going to.
I think they're going to announce a new car on stage. I hope it's a really cool car, So yeah, if they can get the car in the game to blow people's socks off, great. They've done really well. I'm so excited for that. And obviously Fable, I really hope we get something related to Fable. And as Mooch was saying earlier, I want it to be dark, gritty atmosphere.
Yes.
That's what I really want them to show off. I
don't want to be scared playing that game. That's what I want.
They don't need to show off a huge amount, just something, just so it's funny actually as well on that topic. The Fable game that a lot of people didn't like, the Kinect one, Fable the Journey, that actually had that really dark, gritty atmosphere in it. I quite liked it.
Yes, it was actually a very understated game.
God, yeah. And you know what, right? People criticized it for the Kinect controls. I thought it had some of the best Kinect controls in a Kinect game.
The story was fantastic. It was a fantastic story.
Great little game. Great little game. That atmosphere, it proved the atmosphere works for the Fable franchise. Outside of that, the other thing I'd like is Microsoft to pick up with a franchise that they've done on this generation. What I mean is, I want to see a sequel to something like Sunset Overdrive or Rise or Quantum Break.
Yeah,
those
I agree.
Three especially. Like, I know it's a bit unrealistic, but if they came out with a Sunset Overdrive 2 at this year's E3 or a really gritty and gorgeous sequel to Rise, I'd be so happy. I'd be so happy.
Rise 2, mic drop.
And
walk off the stage.
Outside of Microsoft, I have a weird feeling that EA are going to announce the return of a fan favorite with Skate 4.
Yes, I've actually read that. I read that yesterday. People would go crazy for that because everyone's been asking for a good skate game. Yes,
I think so. So I have a funny feeling we might see a Skate 4 this year. I think EA should have a good conference. Hopefully. I'd like to see them come out with Anthem as well as a heavy hitter, and it would be nice if Microsoft, with their third-party games that they're showing on their stage, if they could have some form of exclusivity deals with content. Like, I get that it's unfair to gamers, but you got to look at the fact that PlayStation is doing it. So
yep, yeah, no,
I just don't like Xbox gamers losing out. I think it's unfair, and I think Xbox gamers deserve exclusive content too. They deserve. It's nice to know, like, yes, we get the best graphical versions of games, but it would also be nice to get some timed exclusive content with them.
Yeah, I agree. And of course, last but certainly not least, my very good friend Invader. What 3 games that you walk away from the show saying this might be the best E3 I've ever witnessed?
Oh boy, just 3 games, huh? Oh, it's funny because I've done my own videos talking about, like, what we could possibly see at these events, and honestly, you're rolling the dice. Like, there's some for sure things, and then there's a lot of wish list games. You never know because of the rumors, and they could be wildly off. But as far as what I would really like to see, well, I'll start with Microsoft, and I really want to see Halo, and even if it's just a small teaser or snippet or whatever, I really want to see them. I really want to see 343 take the criticisms from Halo 5 and show us a clear direction of where they're taking the series and where they're taking the Master Chief. I really want to see what they can do with a more mature Xbox One X platform now, and where they're going to take the multiplayer with that, how they're going to expand that. And I'm just dying for more Halo. I'm dying for it. I really want to see more Master Chief and all that jazz. And also, moving on, I really want to see from Nintendo. I want to see more mature titles from Nintendo and less remasters from their Wii U. Now that they've padded up their game lineup, I want to see more investment from them in the Switch now that's been selling like hotcakes. And ideally, I would love to see more of Metroid Prime.
Yes, that is big.
I want to see, you know, some investment there. I want to see the, you know, some of these core franchises come back, and I'm really hoping for Metroid. I want to see, you know, some more shooters. I want to see more love to those old franchises, and I'm just stoked for more Metroid Prime 4 news. I think it's Metroid Prime 4, and
Yes, that is correct.
you know, like again, while you know, there's a few titles there that I'm still playing through. It's like I really want to see what a more mature Nintendo Switch platform can do. And okay, third one. I'm gonna take a wild guess here, and I would just love to see more BioShock.
Oh my
I
God, yes, great one.
and I just think the timing of that remastered collection coming out, you know, now that everybody's had some time to play it, you know, several months through now, that and reintroducing the franchise to the new consoles, that I don't know, maybe it'd be a good time to show a teaser for that and announce something. There's been rumors about it swirling now.
Yep.
That we could see a new BioShock game, whether it's set in Rapture, whether it's a completely new setting. Who knows? But I am really yearning for some more BioShock. That is a franchise that I could definitely see Take-Two Interactive coming back to. They consider it a core franchise, and yeah, I need more BioShock.
Yeah, dude, great choices. So now we're gonna come on to my choices, and if you know me, and you know the kind of gamer I am, my first choice is pretty much a no-brainer, and that is the return of Resident Evil 2, the remake, coming to hopefully all consoles. I am, as it stands, I'm going to be 48 in September. I've been gaming since 78, so I have 40 years of gaming underneath my belt. And though I'm not proud of the age, because you're getting older. I'm proud of the experience, and I'm going to tell you this: in nearly 40 years of gaming, Resident Evil 2 is my favorite game. I've beaten that, I want to say, at least 30 or 40 times, and it's over the course of what it's come out for. Maybe it could be possibly 50 plus times. It is one of my favorite franchises to date. I'm telling you this right now. This is going to be recorded, so you can go back and replay this. If Boom has to get on a corner like a hooker and sell himself to get all versions of Resident Evil 2, the remake, I will do it. I'm saying that right now. Okay. So that's my first choice. I from what I've heard, and I've been covering this on my channel, like really like almost like a detective. It's almost silly. I want, from what we've read, it's going to be like Resident Evil 4, over the shoulder. And I think that's a fantastic camera angle for the franchise. I think it's going to do wonders for Resident Evil 2. I really want to see that up on somebody's stage. I'm guessing it's probably going to be up on on Sony's stage, simply because when you think of Resident Evil, you do think of PlayStation, because that's where it came out. The second one, and Mooch, I think you may want to go see if the pool guys need your assistance for something. I am calling for Titanfall 3.
Yes.
I've heard rumors that it is coming out and it's going to be announced. This is what I suggest to the developers at Respawn. This is what you do. You take Titanfall 1's online multiplayer, and then you take Titanfall's 2 single player. You simply merge them together, and you have a delicious sandwich. Of course, I'm talking about Mooch, because he's always referring to food. So, that's how I would do it. I'm excited to see them expand on the franchise. I'm going to say this. Back in 2014, I had a spinal reconstruction, and my system was low at the time. So when my wife would go to work, right, unless she changed the disc for me, I couldn't get at it. So I got stuck, and I'm not saying stuck in a bad way, playing Titanfall 1. Well, I became literally so good that I prestiged to the highest level. Like, you can't get any higher in that game. And that's where my love for it was, because I was kind of stuck in bed recovering from spinal cord surgery, and all I could play was digital. And at that time, I only had a few digital because I was mostly a physical guy. So you could imagine that playing, again, I was stuck playing the one game that was in the tray, but it wound up becoming one of my favorite games of this generation. And the third one, and again, if UK Dazarus is still listening, he's going to smile from ear to ear. is going to be a proper Killer Instinct 2. We listen, what they have been able to do with the franchise and how they've advanced it since its launch in 2013 has been nothing short of amazing. It's constantly getting updated. The characters that they've added to it as guest characters are absolutely fantastic. I think it's only a matter of time before we see a Marcus Phoenix or Master Chief in there, and I think everyone would be clamoring for that. But I would love to see that, and let's hope that that we're all excited gamers once E3 officially finishes. But I wanna first and foremost thank the chat. You guys have been nothing short of amazing. I really, really appreciate it. I had almost 100 people watching, and for a small channel like me, that is a gigantic deal. And I could not be where I am today if it wasn't for the support of the fans. It's just been very, very humbling, and your support is, so greatly appreciated. And of course, I want to immediately turn to my guests. I have been fortunate enough not only to get to meet everyone that's on this panel that has been on my show previous, but to be able to call you friends is what is really important here. And I cannot thank you enough for taking the time to spend 2.5 hours with me on today's show. Thank you guys so much for coming out.
It was awesome to be here, dude. I'll be honest with you. And I didn't want to interrupt you while you were giving your predictions, but almost no way in hell Titanfall 3 comes out. Sorry, Boom. I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Oh, the reason
it's being, a wish list, brother.
I think I think Respawn has hit a bit of a road bump from what I've heard. They lost a lot of people that went with Vince to Respawn has left and gone back to Infinity Ward. The grass was not greener. In fact, it wasn't greener. It was blue discs matter. Actually, it wasn't green discs at all.
Yes.
So yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff that they have to fix over there. To me, I thought Titanfall 2 was a mess. But yeah, please bring. If Titanfall 3 does come back, listen to what Boom said. He nailed it. That's the multiplayer from the first, and go ahead and throw any story you want in there. Maybe this time the Titan will fall in a well, and we'll have to get him out and call Lassie. Right? Everyone's like, but Moose, didn't you connect with the Titan? Not really. So it is what it is. That's a me problem. But Boom, always good to be here. Love the show. I love what you're doing. Listen, I'm a big fan, from MNC Mornings. I'm a big fan that you're doing a breakfast thing.
Yes.
There's nothing better than having a huge cup of coffee and talking games and podcasting in the morning. So thank you for having me on the show. I appreciate it.
Well, listen, we're going to do the outros because obviously I want everyone to know where they can find everyone, because everyone on this panel is an amazing content creator. And I think that you if you're a gamer and you're following me, you almost have to follow every one of these people because they put together important pieces of gaming, and I think that they all have something interesting to say. Mooch, I'll start with you just again, just in case, because you have stuff going on at the house.
I appreciate that.
Where could people find you? They can find you everywhere, especially if there's a ham sandwich.
Right? Yeah. If there's any food lurking, there's a Mooch around. Trust me. No, thank you. I appreciate it again. Real quick, I'll let you know where you can find me. So we have Crossfire tonight. A lot of great guys that are on the panel right now will be there tonight. 7 p.m. We have a couple of people that are in the know. I just tweeted it out. They are in the know on Xbox's E3 that are joining us tonight. I'm keeping that secret until you guys tune in. 7 p.m. Eastern time. And then we have a absolutely hysterical skit-filled MNC Mornings that will start your E3 the right way.
Nice.
We'll start with a full belly of breakfast food, a cup of coffee, and tons of laughs. So definitely check out MNC Mornings, 11 a.m. Eastern time on Sunday morning. And again, thanks, Boom. I really appreciate it.
Okay, well, listen, dude. Any mooch is always a good mooch. So thank you for hanging out. It's greatly appreciated. Alan, I love what you guys do at Full Throttle Media. I think that you really reinvented yourself. And I think that what you have to put out there are just fantastic articles. I think everyone needs to go check your stuff out. Where else can people find you, brother?
Oh my God! First of all, thank you so much for the kind outro. Seriously, that is so nice of you. Yeah, I'm on Twitter at BeetleComet, and the website is fullthrottlemedia.co.uk. I want to give a quick shout. Actually, today I just released my review for Onrush, which is a
Oh,
new,
dude, that looks so good.
great. Scored it 9 out of 10. I
Oh,
reviewed
man.
I reviewed it on the Xbox One X. Let me tell you something. When it comes to Xbox One X games, some of them, they'll take advantage of the system, but they might only bump up the resolution a bit, or they might do huge, crazy enhancements. Onrush literally uses every bit of juice in that GPU. It's the only console version of Onrush to have 4K textures in it. So it's got the full 4K textures that are exclusive to the Xbox One X version of the game because it's the only system with the horsepower to handle it, and the game looks stunning. So if you want a casual arcade racer where it's like Burnout meets MotorStorm meets Overwatch meets Titanfall all in one in native 4K on the One X, that's a good game to check out. So check out my review on the site. I also got a Forza Horizon 4 wish list and a bunch of other things. This weekend's going to be crazy as well.
Awesome.
Hey, Boom! I don't know if you guys heard that. Do you guys hear that right now? That's
No.
that's not a tree falling in the woods far away. That was actually the sound of Mooch checking for a free code from Alan, and it's not there.
Listen,
yes,
I'm right there with you.
If there's any codes, please.
I want to get on Rush, but it might not be in the financial wheelhouse. So if anyone wants to send Mooch or Boom a code, I would greatly appreciate.
Yes, Onrush does look great though. Great
look
review on that, Alan.
Thank
Hey,
you.
listen, I want to head over to Invader. Invader, listen, dude. First of all, thank you for taking the time to be here. But more importantly, dude, what you do on your channel is fantastic, and I think you need to get more subs, and I think people need to see what you do, because when you speak, not only do you speak in a way that's understanding and it's greatly appreciated by the people that watch your stuff, but you know what you're talking about. Where could people come and check out your content, bro?
Well, first, Boom, again, thanks for having me on, and this has been a wonderful panel to be a part of. I've been so happy to see your channel grow from its humble beginnings to now. Like I've been there since the beginning, dude, and you produced
you have. Thank you.
And you've just you've blossomed into something really, truly special, and I love your content. It is superb. Welsh Gamer, Mooch, the Don, and Alan, it's been great, guys. It's been great talking games with you. And yeah, of course, you guys can find me on YouTube at Invader Gaming, and as everybody knows me, on Twitter at Invader1986. And yeah, I love talking games, and I love talking about the industry and just other things that some people might not touch on as much.
Yeah, I mean, dude, like I said, go to his site, check him out. He's great, and his content is fantastic, and he does a lot of it. And last but certainly not least, and this becomes more of a personal thing for me for a couple of reasons. One, he's been on the show twice. Two, he's one of the first people that I actually met when I came in on the scene, and I think that he is absolutely one of the bright spots of the community. Always has something interesting and positive to say. And I love the idea that I can call him a very good friend of mine, the Welsh Gamer. Listen, dude, the Dragon X podcast is fantastic. I love what you do, especially when you do your videos. You're very passionate about what you're talking about. Where could people come and find you, bro?
Wow, Boom, cheers, man. I think I had a misty eyes for a second, No, honestly, cheers, man. You're a true friend, and it's been an honor to be on the panel, each and every one of you. I know the Dom's gone, but him as well.
Yes,
it's been absolutely phenomenal talking games with you guys. And in terms of where you can find me, the Welsh Gamer on YouTube, and at the Welsh Gamer 93 on Twitter. And I've been a bit quiet on the YouTube front. I've sort of taken a step back and relaxed. I've been enjoying being a guest on Boom's podcast, and I've sort of been taking it easy on my channel. But I basically have decided that I'm going to just chillax, kick my feet, enjoy E3, and you can expect a lot of content post E3 via video, and the Dragon X podcast will be back. So please tune in, and thank you very much for having me again, Boom. Always a pleasure, mate. I really enjoyed it. It's an honor. You're an absolute gentleman.
Oh, thank you very much, dude.
Thank you very much. Cheers.
No problem. And I just want to give Don a shout out. He had to leave a little early. He's doing a lot of things, especially pre-E3. I know he mentioned it, but I want to mention it for him again, because I think that his what he has to say regarding the gaming industry is fantastic, and I would be remiss not to mention him on the outros. Go follow him on Twitter at the Don_KTR, and please go check him out on Mixer. Go check out his YouTube channel. The guy does really have his ear to the floor, and he is so knowledgeable when it comes to this industry. Once again, I just want to thank everybody on the panel. I want to thank everybody in the chat, and I also want to wish everyone an amazing E3. Let's meet up again and talk about this sometime next week. See if our predictions came through. Everyone have a fantastic day. Thanks for coming out.